activities.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
been there.
Well, they
I
are
just feel
going to
like
deduce that, but okay.
but we're here.
In a general sense, though, I just feel like one of the things that I've been thinking about recently. I mean, me and Devontae, we just had a conversation when it came to some of the people that he has grown up with who are experiencing life at a much different level, right? They either chose to not go to school, weren't able to go to school, and they ended up getting married super early, and they've now are on kid number not just one but two, three, without any real, from our perspective and our experience of life, any real bedrock of foundation of like
Means.
means, yeah. And still, to their eyes, Devontae and I would be the ones who are living life wrong because we haven't necessarily achieved the goalposts of life that they are holding on to so much, right? You know, whether that's a two-parent household, whether that's the house and the white picket fence. And what I'm saying is the beauty of the generation that we grew up in and the generation that we're at, right, is that we have all of this knowledge, but also this lived experience of that. The boomer generation that set all of these ideas of how society is supposed to develop and go, they didn't get that shit right. And in fact, it might be they didn't get any of it right. You are living still in a period of time where, yes, there are a lot of people that will judge you for how you decide to live your life, but we still retain this semblance of freedom, at least right now, that you can choose to live your life the way you want to, So if you want to have one wife for the rest of your life and you guys hold each other tight, do that shit. But if you also want to do the Neo situation where you have 4 girlfriends and everybody's consensual, everybody's supported the way they want to be supported, and the only people that can say anything about it are people on the internet, what I'm saying? There's no government force saying Neo can't date all those women, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't worry, that's coming soon.
Yeah, but as we will get into the episode, that is coming soon. But yes, before we go any further, we are back. It's Bullshit for Your Health, the podcast, the most balanced podcast in the world, the only podcast where you will get a healthy dose of bullshit to entertain you, especially during these trying times if you're an American or if you're somebody who is at the behest of America around the world. And you will get much needed information and maybe a little bit of education that will help you navigate this crazy world. But today I'm joined by Isaiah, Donica, and Devontae. It's been a while since we had 4 people who are familiar and used to the podcast on here, so we want to thank them for showing up and delivering their much needed voices. But real quick, a pivot, but along the same lines. Are you guys following this Shannon Sharpe situation? Because I think this is also a good place to identify when boundaries are not set and are not understood.
Yes.
Of course.
That was crazy.
Tom actively weeding out the men I would never date.
And they are men who would date somebody 30 years their junior?
Correct. AKA someone who is eventually going to be a threat to your future child.
Oh. Ooh. That's a gross.
How are predators born? This is how they're born.
Okay, wait, okay. Is he a predator?
I don't think he's a
Are you
predator.
asking?
I think
Yeah,
maybe,
question. I mean, because that is a
maybe he's just
dynamic
bored.
of the conversation that's been brought up, right?
It's the same thing that we say. It's a form of breeding, bro. Yes, he's a predator.
I think he's just bored. He's just old and bored, and he just needs some fun in his life, probably.
Anyone can be old and bored, sweetheart. Old and bored does not equate predator. It's the actions that equate being a predator, and the choice of with whom he's doing those things with that make him a predator. Do you know how many people there are in the world? He's Shannon Sharpe. He just because he looks like Barney doesn't mean women won't sleep with him that are closer to his
Barney on
age.
steroids, bro.
It's giving Auntie meets Aunt Netta. Barney meets Aunt Netta. Like, we know that. Like, he's not. But at the end of the day, being ugly has never stopped a man with money from being able to get women. It's specifically she was how old and she's now how old piece that people are not fucking with. We don't care. If you were 60 with a 40-year-old, no one would say anything. But the best explanation I've heard of it is like scaling, right? Someone who's 20 with someone who's 60 has only lived what percentage of that person's life? Quick math. 20 out
I
of 60, you know the math. Not enough for you to know shit and really be able to make decisions. You look at, first of all, look at this podcast. Jabari, how old are you? 31. Devontae's what, 30? He's 30 yet? 29?
He's 30.
He's 30. And Isaiah's 25, about to be 26.
Mhm.
Look, between the difference between you as a 26-year-old and Jabari as a 31-year-old, because I've known Jabari as 26, is a very big difference. Like, it doesn't compute. We've all been 19 before. Think about you now.
So so I hear where you're coming from, and I do think there is a discussion that needs to be had with an individual who is 54 years old approaching a 21, 20, 19-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever the legal. And again, I don't want to say the legal framework, because in some states in America it is insidious how we treat the age of consent. But if we're going off of a strictly 18 is the age level of consent, I don't necessarily need to have the predator conversation, because specifically with Shannon Sharpe, I think the conversation that is more pertinent, because if you solve the situation that Shannon Sharpe is facing, you would have less individuals, in Donica's phrasing, being predators toward young girls. Because the situation, this girl, aside from her accusations of rape from Shannon Sharpe, because we still don't know, this is all allegedly, this is all a he say
big black baby
situation, is a situation of dick discipline, and
he need to hit an OJ with her, bro.
No, what he needs to do is figure out why at 54 years old he finds so little control over his dynamic with the opposite sex, and he feels he can't get what he is looking for out of a woman more close to his age, and exactly. So he has to go try and search out for that in the youthfulness of another woman. Because again,
why can't he have a young girl?
No, it's not that he can't have a young girl. It's that, and that's not what I'm speaking from. I'm speaking from he can't handle a young girl. The situation Shannon Sharpe is in is simply because, not simply because he had a relationship with a 19-year-old. Well, she's 23 now, but with a 23-year-old, because I think he met her when she was 19. They didn't start the relationship, at least from the records, probably until she was like 21 or something like that.
Oh yeah, we all believe that.
Was it
for 2 years? For 2 years, they were just friends, right?
Was it? It was consensual though, no? If I'm not
yes, it was consensual. The relationship when they started, and they had a relationship, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's not the fact that Shannon Sharpe wanted to fuck a 18, 19, 20-year-old girl. We get lust. We get we just before we started this pod, we were having a riveting conversation over the carnal desires of human beings, but it's the fact that he fell in love with a 20, 21, 22-year-old to the point.
What evidence do we have that he fell in love with this girl?
Did you not read the text messages? Did you not read that just to be able to speak to her, at one point this man was willing to spend $50,000?
That's love? That's how you define love?
Really think about it. Like, okay. love
this is quickly, stop talking over each other, first of all. This is quickly turning into...
Let me land my point then.
That's fine, but let me finish my question. If that's how we're defining love, let me know, because I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is not going to be worth the time.
Okay, so maybe let me use my words more effectively.
So far, this take is giving ill.
Infatuation he had with a 19, 20, 21-year-old.
Yeah,
If
stop
you
normalizing it. Stop talking about it like it's completely okay and
No,
that it's
he
completely understandable.
let me land the point. I'm not saying it's
he was
okay.
illegally
I'm
Okay,
saying
well,
horny.
I'm giving you the feedback. I'm giving you the feedback listening to you talk in real time that it sounds crazy as hell.
okay, that's fine. Let me land the point, and then you can determine if it's crazy as hell, and you can respond to that. The point is, without adjudicating whether he's a predator, because legally in America, you can be 18 years and you could fuck whoever the fuck you want to fuck. That is the precedent we set on a federal, national level. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's a different conversation to have. The conversation I'm having right now is how we continually have black men who have literal access to the wealth we need to save our community, falling prey to the misgivings of man again and again and again. Louis Farrakhan said it himself. Instead of watching when a man falls and laughing, we should be learning. In this situation, what I want many powerful or many soon-to-be powerful men or just fucking niggas understanding that this is a problem fundamentally with dick discipline. Yes, there is a more humane conversation that once you have dick discipline, we can have about it shouldn't even be a question that as a 54-year-old man, you're looking at a 20-year-old, 23-year-old girl because she's got nothing to give you. But on the side of
She do.
pause, listen.
Yeah, hold on.
On the side of what she does have to give you is where your dick discipline needs to come into play, is that carnal desire for carnal desire sake is not all we live for. This man, Shannon Sharpe, because he didn't have dick discipline, because if he really was that fucking horny and you wanted to get a fucking nut off and you were involved with a sex worker, because again, this girl has been found to have an OnlyFans and is a sex worker, and as somebody who does not want to demonize sex work, if all
But
you
why do
wanted
you
to
speak
do,
so high and mighty like you can't fall to it, brother?
that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying
You can
is
fall to
every man, but every woman as well experiences lust, infatuation, desire, greed. These are all the 7 deadly sins for a fucking reason. But what I'm saying is, as you gain more education, as you gain more discipline, because discipline is doing what you're supposed to do, even when you don't want to fucking do it, you give yourself the ability to avoid some of the pitfalls that at this point in time, especially as black men, the idea that you would fuck a 20-year-old, 19, whatever, white woman at 54 when you're about to get an offer or you were offered a deal for $100 million is, I don't give a fuck how much carnal desire you had. You are an idiot. You're stupid. I have no fucking sympathy for your situation because you should have never allowed yourself to be in this situation. And that's the only point I wanted to say. We can have a deeper conversation of why a person would feel attracted to somebody so much younger than them. But because it's not illegal, I feel like right now on the podcast, we're not even at that level yet. But what I can maybe impart on individuals that might stop them from going down this path is saying, look at what Shannon Sharpe has risked and the benefit he got. Because again, the woman that he experienced or is experiencing the situation with lined him up, for one, if she was not raped. Again, everything's alleged right now, but from the messages that we see with the communication they had, the way that she was already had this nigga wrapped around his finger to the point where he was willing to, and her own text messages, 25,000 a cheek because she wasn't responding to him over text message for a few days or something like that. She was giving him the cold treatment. The nigga was willing to play it, so much so that he came out so far, I think, and he said they were willing. They had a settlement for $10 million, so she never came out with this story. It's just like, Unc, you got played, bro. You were, in Donica's opinion, trying to be a predator, and you were the prey, my nigga, because you fell to your own carnal desires that, yes, Devontae, we all experience, but we don't all fall victim to. We have this story of fucking Shannon Sharpe. We have this story of, what's the nigga that just got canceled from Marvel? What's his name?
Which one? The
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. We have I don't know. Was the woman that Derek Jackson got fucked over with? Was she white? Not
O.J.
fucked over, but
Simpson.
fucked himself over with. Was she white?
No, she was black and she made herself look fucking stupid.
Okay, either way, or we can talk about Emmett Till. We can go all the way back there, but There has never been a time where a black man in the country of the United States of America has let down his guard in the presence of a white, younger, or older, or whatever woman, and that shit has, and they haven't been moving in the utmost righteousness too, and that shit has not blown up in their face. So for Shannon Sharpe to not only internalize that, because that nigga is 54 years old,
Yeah.
grew up in the fucking 70s, nigga. The fact that he hadn't prepared himself, that she's got copious amount of evidence of Shannon Sharpe being what's the word? Just fucking stressed out of the situation that he's in, right? Anytime, okay, listen. Let me tell you this, Isaiah. If you knew a white girl that was younger than you, 20 years younger, 30 years younger than you, was mad about you for whatever reason, would you ever get on the phone with her and say,
No.
if you say that shit again, I'm gonna come over there and choke you out. No matter how stressed you are, no matter how much you know you wouldn't do it.
No, it's not worth it. No.
Bro, he got played. I could tell you from that fucking message alone, she was lining this nigga up. And again, that's not to say that he's innocent. That's not to say that he didn't ever do anything wrong. I don't know. That's for the courts to figure out. That's for the civil case to figure out. But simply from, again, we could say it's wrong, we could say it's not wrong, but from a player perspective, my nigga, what being P really is about, it's not about making women feel uncomfortable. It's not about, yo, I'm going to find the woman that's the most vulnerable to my specific area of life and try to take advantage of her. No, it's about being a fly nigga who's cool as fuck, respects women, so women are just comfortable around you, bro. You tell me right now, if I had to deal with
you get the most PC answers I've ever
met
met in my life, bro.
You said what?
Bro, you copping, please, bro. You being really PC, like, we gotta just love women and respect them.
My nigga, when's the last time you've been hanging out with a group of baddies?
That part. I ain't gonna hold you, Devonta. You're coming from a place probably of some hurt, but we're not gonna go there yet. Also,
Nah, it
Javar's
ain't even.
PC answers are like actually what he believes. And I don't know. It's really funny because I think every time a man gives the opposite, like, oh, you care too much perspective, when we look at the stats, it don't make sense because either you like women or you don't. And if you like women, it probably would behoove you to learn why his perspective is that perspective. And if you don't like women, you can continue to engage with them in the way that you're doing currently and see how well that works out for you. We are not
Nah, but
living in
I'm
the
saying,
1930s. It is 2025, and the male loneliness epidemic is real. And if y'all don't stop thinking like rapists, you're gonna have problems in life.
ain't nobody
Or,
saying.
no, that's real talk. That's real talk.
Alright.
Why love women? Why wouldn't you love anyone? It's not just about women. It's like we have a connection problem. Like that's why our society in America has gotten to where it's at because we refuse to care about anything. We refuse to stop being over consumers of media, of individuals, of sex, food, drugs, alcohol. Like we have an overconsumption problem and a lack of care problem,
My joke
which
is
stems
just
from
like,
not
bro,
being able to love.
why don't you just approach people the way they want to be approached? If somebody want to be approached like a $2 holder, you approach them that way. If somebody want to be approached as with respect, you approach them that way. It's just a depending on how the person want to be.
I agree,
That has
Devontae.
nothing to do
I agree.
with what we're talking about.
Devontae, I agree, but what you just told me right now is I was copying, please. But no, what I'm telling you right now is
bro, I don't know the situation, bro, but I feel like, constantly everything, bro, like every topic, bro, like you be trying to be like, well, this is how society should manage it. It's like, bro, at the end of the day, bro, people gonna be who they are.
No,
We live
nigga,
in a
not
world
once
that's
did I
flawed.
say this is how
not even
society
that,
should manage it. This is what
Yeah.
I believe society should do in situations and certain people in certain situations based off of the experiential
Historical context. How many times
historical
has this
context,
worked out?
experiential context, and what the fuck I've been told from the opposite sex. Again, what and it's so crazy because I was about to go on to this tangent that you're trying to like give a meaning to, but what you're talking about is like how on that Eggs and Grits podcast they were talking about, yo, you should stop preaching to people about how they should live their relationships. And what I'm saying is that I'm not preaching about how you should live your relationship. What I'm saying is what you probably should not do is fall to the same pitfalls that powerful men have fallen to for centuries now. This
Like, just
situation
make
with
a
Shannon
conscious
Sharpe,
decision.
where he is a 54-year-old black man, black high-level entertainer who had $100 million deal on the table, having that deal blown up because he didn't have the dick discipline to not fuck a 20 to 23-year-old white girl, is a story you can place hundreds of other entertainers in. Let me not say hundreds, but you can place
Yeah.
hundreds
Yeah,
of
I
All
other
can
it
name
is,
entertainers.
bro,
10
it's
right
just
now.
it's anybody.
But that's what we're talking about,
Cause it could
Devontae.
have been a 54-year-old John. It's bro.
But it more likely
Oh,
would
No.
not
crazy.
have been. Go look at the fucking girl, dog. What are you
What is
talking
your, I
about?
don't, what is your take? Don't tell
Yo,
people how to live your life. Is that your take, Devontae?
No, like I guess
Because
like the big
that's
thing from
Who's
what
talking?
Jabari is
My
saying and
John
what
really just be like, my John really be like, really like, bro, I ain't gonna tell nobody to do because the for real, as much as we could get up and say what we doing, none of us touching them type of bags. None of us living that type of life. So as much as we like, oh yeah, if I just think we need to do that, it's like, bro, until you in the thick of something, you don't know. You don't know what you're
okay,
gonna do.
sure, but
You
so
that's
just
why
not
hope
don't
the
you would
so
do the
why
point.
have
right
you
thing.
ever so why have you ever done heroin?
but why won't you just protect yourself and just make a conscious decision and just prevent all of that and not make like a mistake like Shannon Sharpe or like maybe like another entertainer like in another
But why do we
What
make the
does that
mistakes
look
we
like?
make?
Why did you go to
What?
school?
like making a conscious decision and be like, how is this going to affect me 12 13 10 20 years down the road? Like how like, or if the person that you're associating yourself with, like how is this person benefit me? What are their hidden intentions? Like, should I protect myself? Should I
Okay, these
not
are all the
really commit?
questions that Shannon Sharpe should have asked himself. So you're
Yeah,
you're 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 not the dissenting opinion. I want to hear what Devonte has to say because I'm
no,
not understanding the point.
No,
okay.
so
But what?
here's
Wait, what
here's
I'm saying?
here's what you're saying. What I'm getting, what you're saying, Devonte, is because we haven't been in a specific position, we have no right to give an opinion on how that person in that position moves. And what I'm trying to tell you is that's a red herring argument, because then why would anybody give their opinion on anything in the world? I've never been the president, but I know for a fact the president shouldn't be sending people to El Salvador death camp without due process.
And
So I
money
can
doesn't
also
dictate knowing what's right or wrong. You don't need
exactly your
money to have
morality or your
wisdom.
discipline.
Facts.
It ain't,
The fact that
bro. It ain't.
the fact
But
that Shannon Sharpe has been a well-off American for so many fucking years, and the fact that he didn't have the dick discipline to not fucking put that at risk when he had $100 million on the table shows it doesn't matter what level of money you have. If you don't have a certain amount of morality or discipline, you leave yourself to vulnerability more so than the next person. It's why this situation has not happened with Steph Curry. It's why it hasn't happened with LeBron James. It's why when Kendrick Lamar had a nationwide hit calling Drake a pedophile, it didn't fucking happen to Drake. You know Shannon Sharpe is on his second accuser now? So like
man,
The
again,
I
reality
just
is not.
that
I think at the end of the day, even what Isaiah was trying to say is like, yeah, you could. Anyone can live whatever life they want to live, but there's a
Facts.
way you go about it, and clearly this man didn't go about it. And the reason why we can give an opinion on it is one, it's not like he doesn't have the means to go about things the right way. Number one, it's not like he doesn't have the access. Number two, and number three, you're profiting off of the position that you've placed yourself in society, right? You were a pro football player. A lot of people are used to be pro football players, but now you make money off of your name, image, and likeness in a completely different manner. Part of it being influential to a community that operates under a certain set of rules that you clearly don't understand. And niggas like you, Kanye West, Terrance Howard, keep fucking it up. And it's like, what are you not understanding about the formula?
but
Like, it's not
also
confusing.
what
I got an even
what
better
do they
one. You're
want
talking
people to
about
do?
pause. You
No,
literally just said,
wait.
why should we, who never touched that money, not commented on it? How about the fact that the last 2 years that he's had the biggest fucking podcast on the internet, he had multiple people who make similar money to him come on the show and tell him to his face, Shannon, you ain't living right. Shannon, you should probably get yourself one woman.
No, he had
Literally,
Monique. He had
Kendrick Lamar
Monique.
just said it. It's tricky out here. Maybe
Yeah.
you should have one. Keeping one woman now is whatever the fuck he said, that lyric. But that lyric's there. What I'm saying is we're speaking not based off of correlational thought. We're speaking off wisdom that has been attempted to be passed down from the voices who have been in positions of authority and power for decades. And unfortunately, individuals like you who might be apathetic to joining these conversations, or individuals who are antagonistic and actually want niggas to keep puthering in ways that leave themselves to risk, don't want us to have. And what I'm saying is, on my podcast, on my platform, while I also agree that we can't tell everybody how they want to live their life, as I was preaching earlier, saying, hey, a big part of figuring out what's going to work for you is taking the time to be introspective and figuring out your boundaries. And then hopefully you can find a life partner who wants to go through life with you like that. Whether that's, hey, every once in a while, if as long as I provide all the food and function and I show you the love you need, can I go out and maybe buy a piece of pussy? If that's legal? She'd be like, yes. Maybe you are not into sexual relationship like that, and you're with a woman who is, and the conversation y'all have is, hey, I like you, I like being partners with you, but don't necessarily can't satisfy your sexual appetite the way it is. So it's okay for her to go out and fuck somebody. We have a system, it's called cuckoldry. But what I'm saying is, I can't tell you what's right for you. But what I can tell you is that based off of other situations that we've seen in the past, if you got $100 million on the table, if you're reaching the upper echelons of fame and fortune, and you are 50 years old, the person you probably don't want to be gaining any type of long-term relationship with is a woman 30 years your junior who also is a sex worker. And yes, this could have happened to him. This could have happened to him if he would have fucking dated Bernice. This could have happened to him if he dated any one of these other women who preys on individuals younger than them. Who was that one fucking girl? Was it Drea Michelle? Who just had a baby by some football player, and so it's like, or she's like pregnant by some basketball player, and her first son, is the same age as the basketball player. There's crazy shit going on all around, bro. But as a man, you just have to be a little bit more concerned about your position, because we know how this shit would go. And again, yeah, Devontae, if I do get to a point where I can make $100 million and I fall prey, or I fall on the sword of my own sins, I only have myself to blame. But I would hope I've continued to have a circle who, if they do see me slipping, they might tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, bro,
you tripping.
I don't think this is the way you want to go. And I would be a dumbass if I look at my friend and go, hey, my nigga, guess who made 100 million? Not you, bitch. Shut up. That's all I'm saying.
There ain't been nobody that's ever said that more money came with less problems.
There ain't nobody with a brain who said, because I don't make that level of money, I shouldn't speak on that person's situation. That is a capitalist, American, imperialized mindset, bro. We have never had the type of money.
I would hate for money to equate to people's value, because then a lot of y'all wouldn't be worth shit, to be quite frank. So that's crazy.
It's the same thinking that's allowed individuals to call Africa a dumb and poor country throughout literally the 18th, 19th, 17th, 20th, and 21st fucking centuries, bro.
But it's also a crazy take if we can think like that on a us and Shannon Sharpe perspective, but we have a problem with it when billionaires like Elon Musk treat us like we're not worth anything.
Right? That nigga's had more money than I'll ever see, but I know I'm not as fucking dumb as that nigga. Simply off of the fact that I'm not a fucking racist, misogynistic pig. You can't think as well. Okay, whoa. I feel like we're about to get into the politics side of it too, because that is kind of the angle I'm gonna go for this conversation on that with. But yeah, so I feel like we've beaten the Shannon Sharpe fucking conversation dead. We know where it stands. It's wrong on a human level, because as Donica said, we do have this weird situation going on right now where there is a conversation to be had upon, is this predatory behavior, or is this not? What I'm hearing is a lot of women feel this type of behavior is predatory, and not as many men do. There's a conversation to be had there. From a player level, from a P level, to all my niggas who, aspire to be like Andrew Tate, or aspire to be like Donald Trump, or aspire to be like Future, or aspire to be like Metro Boomin. These
You're
niggas
fucking loser.
Niggas at some point in their life, all of them have had allegations. Google it. After Metro Boomin went on that full fucking, cancel Drake tour, that nigga had an allegation of his own come out. When you mess with multiple women, that's fine. You don't have to, Devontae.
You probably also don't believe rape victims either.
Your livelihood, bro.
Bro,
bro. Oh, I think I hit a nerve. My bad.
It's fine. What I was gonna say to Devontae is his livelihood does not
Depend on it.
depend on people believing he's not have any allegations. So what I'm saying as from a player, from a P level, it might behoove you to learn from the men you believe are great and the mistakes that they've already made. Because right now we're living in a system that doesn't give too much of a fuck, which is wrong. But this system will not last forever. We are gonna get back to a more productive, a more empathetic, and a more just society soon. But shit, do we listen? Just like we got black niggas doing stupid shit when it comes to their relationships, we got black men who've had a lot of success just saying stupid shit on podcasts. Did y'all watch that Terrance Howard video I sent y'all?
That shit was stupid. I was losing brain cells just listening to this man talk. Because I remember I looked at the paper that he had a few years ago because my friend was telling me about Terrance Howard, how he thought like 1+1 was, or 1 times 1 was 2. And I just, this is why the education system in the United States is failing. Clearly.
No, it's just because he's bipolar. But
He's stupid,
also,
bro.
Yeah, I mean, like Bodonica, doesn't that like throw you sometimes when individuals, especially black individuals, for some reason, when black celebrities are clearly going through marked mental health crises, we just mock them and make fun of them. But it's clear, like, this man's not okay. Like,
yeah,
it really pains me that we take these individuals and we put them in a category of they're crazy, but like, you know, whereas like you let Britney Spears or the Olsen twins look like they're having some type of fucking situation and it's just,
oh, their mental health.
Yeah.
Oh, pray for them. They struggle. No, I think something that I've been realizing lately is that no matter when, there seems to be like a missing like sense of empathy when it comes to mental health still. Like, yeah, you can go to therapy and like people are like, now it's like therapy and healing is like another trending topic, and that's why people are engaging in it. But while they're healing themselves, they don't seem to actually like grow in their ability to connect with other people, which is why I think community as a concept has to fundamentally like change in certain areas and in certain places, like in this country, but also within the community, because it's so interesting to me that people can't like, again, even like engage in intelligent discourse about something that we disagree with and have it be rooted in points that are like logical and not opinion or like emotion based. Like, we know, yeah, it's funny to listen to what, you know, Terrance Howard was saying, but also it's sad because that man has so many resources and yet is still not being treated clearly with medication or any adjunctive therapies for him to not show up in this way. And we see it with Kanye. We see it like time and time again. I mean, we've known people that like we went to school with that have had episodes like this, and it's like, who are going to help these people? I've seen it with healthcare providers, and I'm like, you have so much to say about X, Y, and Z about this person, but like you're the person within the community that could have an impact, that could like be the person that does something. And I feel like having conversation about things and like at baseline is good, but if you can't even move differently with the people that you can impact, like in your own circle, and show them empathy or like set a better example, then what's the fucking point? Like, I feel like then we're just like a different version of the problem. Because part of capitalism is continuing to only worry about ourselves. And clearly there are people besides ourselves that need worrying about. But that's just my thought. No, Jabari wasn't listening because there's no way he'd let me talk that long without interrupting.
no,
Just so
it's
we're
funny
clear.
it's funny because as I was typing and listening, I was also like, man, I should like make sure I'm looking so she knows I'm listening. But I was like, but this is good too because it's also allowing me to let her get her full strength and the weight of her point off. But I was texting the homie that just left the conversation. I want to just say this.
This
Let me put
podcast
it out
ends for
there.
end friendships. This
It does.
podcast
It
ends
does.
friendships.
He's had a problem. Like his dad was wrongfully imprisoned for a false rape accusation, and so it's a little bit more close to home, I guess, than originally interpreted or known. But I think that kind of would go into further why we need to be having these conversations and why you shouldn't take yourself out of the conversation because for some reason of maternal value you don't feel worthy enough.
And again, like if I would have known that context, like I said that to make a point because that's a common issue within the context of the conversation we were having. But I definitely wouldn't have said that if I would have known that that was an actual thing that he experienced. That makes me feel bad. So if Devontae, if you listen to this, I'm sorry. Also, if you want to hop back on the conversation, be happy to hear a different perspective. With my biggest thing is like people don't want to hear it, and that was the kind of the energy that he was coming from, and that it was like, oh well, we always but I'm like, okay, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a reason why we talk about things, and outside of like a we should all mind our business like standpoint, I don't think that's getting us anywhere. We can
It's
all
not.
mind our business has gotten us to chaos.
You know
Like,
what?
look,
Fuck it, bro. Let's just get into the nitty fucking gritty of it, bro. I'm
why
sorry,
don't you have
but
clothes on?
I have pants on. I am outside, so I have to have pants on
They're
technically.
making it see.
Let me just
Hey.
see. What else we gotta talk about here? I mean, okay. Sean Kingston and his mother. I don't really give a fuck about because why the fuck? There's one thing I do want to say. Do you guys ever feel? I know it's not right. You should have empathy for all human beings and situations, but when individuals have gotten rich off of being lucky, there's genuinely lucky. Like I'm not saying Sean Kingston wasn't talented, but the nigga had 2 big songs in the early 2000s. We're
You
everywhere.
can remember two of them?
Yeah, man, beautiful girls and take you there. Come on now.
Take you there. I forgot
Yeah,
about that
we
one.
can go to the tropic city. Oh
Yeah,
my
I would
god.
argue one, honestly. Honestly,
Yeah.
one.
Okay. So we can talk
Who thought
about
he had
how.
money though? I just want to know
Here's
how
the
these
thing.
people got scammed. Y'all thought he had money?
Listen. Okay. So the thing is, it's like.
Oh, are we talking about how people don't actually have any financial literacy and any piece of change
Boom!
impresses them?
Thank you.
Y'all
Like,
so far up cloud culture ass that you don't know ass that if it bit you in your ass. Oh, it's
and
funny.
as a person who, realistically or relatively speaking, I have seen a crazy change in my own ability to accumulate capital since becoming a nurse. So I get that there's a grace period, especially as a minority, when it comes to building financial literacy. Because again, a part of financial literacy isn't just employing it, but it's gaining the information that has been denied to us to get it, right? But I think about entertainers like Waka Flocka Flame, right? For
Who's denying y'all
whatever,
the internet now? Sorry.
for whatever we want to say about his political beliefs, because there are some political beliefs that he has that I do not
I
agree
think I got
with.
some good facial reactions.
He's very capitalist minded, but the fact that he was able to understand his capitalist framework of a brain and then employ that to gain more information, so that Waka Flocka really only had one album that niggas really know. I don't say know him for, but like
That's
he
his
was
hottest album.
his longevity of as an artist was not long. But Chameleonaire, for example, had one big song, but due to these brothers understanding that they needed to learn a little bit in order to maximize this crazy payday they had, leaves me looking at other form of entertainment or just lucky individuals who get large sums of money, whether it's because they had a SoundCloud hit or and again, not to bring up this level of sex work again, but I think about this when I see these young female OnlyFans creators who are making crazy amounts of money, and I wonder to myself, yo, are they going to be broke in like 10 years because they don't know to invest in an IRA, or
Not a
there's
not a
no
lot of
401k benefit structure
yeah.
that OnlyFans offers. maybe they are living
No, they
just,
invest in a BBL and a Birkin bag because
or they're living a lifestyle that is so expensive. It's like what we see with professional athletes when they burn through all of their money
Get
during their
all these
playing
fucking
years,
dollars.
that when they're at retirement age, they've have no cash flow and have no income. All I'm saying is, when I see the story of Sean Kingston and his mother using their high celebrity status to scam other celebrities, I do not feel sorry for them. I literally just go, wow, you had a 1 in a million, one in a billion opportunity to make crazy amounts of money. You give me $1 million once, I'm good, nigga. Like, I'm good. I'll figure it out.
You think so?
yeah, like y'all not gonna bully me into no lifestyle.
500,000 straight cash.
Somebody asked me recently when I was gonna get a new car, and I looked at them like they was fucking
I ain't getting no new
crazy.
car.
What? New
I'm just
car?
going to.
I'm gonna get
I'm
someone to
going
drive
to
my ass before I get a new car. Like,
hyper. Basically, everything that I've been doing, what I've been adding to for my individual investments on my Robinhood, right? Which I already told. I don't know if I told you, but like I've earned. I'm starting. I know the companies that have been giving good dividends. I know how I would structure my IRA contributions, because you can only give $7,000 a year, and then I already have a career as a nurse. You give me $1 million once, whether it's half of that or $1 million, I'm good, nigga. As long as everything structurally in America stays the way it is, which it's not, unfortunately, but it does, nigga, I'd be straight. I'm not saying I would never have to work again, but like I'd be straight. Like I would no longer have like worries about retirement, because I know where to put my money so that it works for me.
But like, do you have the behavior piece down? Because I know a lot of financial, like it's like
Yeah,
what do they say?
but that's the point. But that's yes, that's double-edged sword of financial literacy. I have down. Yes,
Okay.
my lifestyle
Because
would
I'm
not.
still working on that personally right now. Like I'm still working on the
I'm
behavior.
not going to get $1 million and go buy a Rolex.
No, but
Well,
like,
actually, no. I might buy a Rolex. But guess what Rolex I would buy? Not an iced out 50 grand one. You know, there's
but you
Rolexes
would
for
get
four
something
grand.
that's gonna be of value, like or like
Yeah, for
if you're
sure.
into something
But I
like.
also, this means this, I wouldn't get that 500,000 and go do a month long stay in Bali.
Oh, for sure. I guess like
Because that's not my lifestyle, though. Donica might do that, but that's Donica's lifestyle before she had a fucking $500,000. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, and
Donica would
again,
also stay like one weekend at a 5-star and spend like 3 weeks at a nice quaint Airbnb that I rented and got a, driver and cook for. But I'm good at things like that. That's just
so
Donica.
I feel like, again, this goes to the conversation we were having with Shannon Sharpe, which is money doesn't mean shit. All it does is make you more of who you are. So
Correct.
yes, what I'm saying is, I believe right now, with my level of financial literacy, both in my knowledge base now and also with my habit base, like I know what it means when I'm on track. I know what I'm doing and what I should not be doing. I would be fine. I would not. I would still have to work, of course,
yeah.
but I wouldn't be working the same way I'm working now.
Okay, and just
'Cause I
to
wouldn't need
clarify,
to.
it's not an attack or anything like that. Because like I'm still
Oh
like,
no, nigga.
yeah,
Listen.
because I'm still trying
The
to
thing
like
with
get
me in this podcast,
my
my nigga, I want you to never think I'm getting mad and I'm gonna end the conversation early or whatever. Like I'm pretty big on, sitting in it and then trying to have a conversation about it.
yeah,
Because
no,
I know
You know why?
everything.
Because we've been best friends a long time. Me and Jabari don't sugarcoat shit.
no, but it's just like a
Uh,
taboo. I feel like in America, it's a taboo to talk about money and talk about finances, and
Bro,
that's
fuck
like,
it. We're okay. So we're gonna get straight into the news. We just got to. It's been a crazy fucking few months, and Isaiah and Donica have both highlighted the theme of what I want to talk about, and not even what I want to talk about, but the stories we talk about. It has an overarching theme for me, which is the culture of America is at its inception and steadily since it's been a country been poisoned. Okay, it's been poisoned with the idealism of unregulated capitalism, to the point that it has allowed the worst aspects of its philosophy to flourish, and the add-ons to that philosophy to flourish. Because again, if we're looking at capitalism as a function of money and resource accumulation for the benefit of a few at the, what do you call it, risk or welfare or the expense of many people, there is no country that has done it better than America. Europe was doing well for a while there, but after World War II, America fucking jump started it. The things that help capitalism reach the highest heights is racism. It is an ability for the people of the few to divide and conquer the people of the many. And there is no better way of doing that than racism. It has worked on the continent of Africa. It has worked on the continent of North America. It has worked on the continent of South America. They have whole countries where they deleted their black population. Looking at you, Argentina. And it has for sure worked in the continent of Asia. So many things this Trump administration has done in the first 100 days of its presidency, to some feel unprecedented, but to others who understand the system that has been poisoning America since its inception, it's just the same on steroids. That's the big thing I want to talk about. When we talk about these stories, when we talk about Pete Hegseth getting caught not once, but twice using a private server to send military operations hours before it goes down. When we talk about the Trump administration, so I'm talking Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, crafting policies that were akin to Nazi Gestapo policy to stop individuals, to mask them and bag them and then send them to a slave labor but often termed death camp in El Salvador. When we talk about the current head of the Health and Human Services Agency blitzing CDC funding, FDA funding, to the fact that we know that they have a whole cover-up scheme going on right now for the E. coli outbreak that happened in the past month, to them building a registry for individuals who are on the autism spectrum disorder. All of this is Republican policy on steroids. This is not different from what Republicans have been wanting to do for years. The only difference is the people who knew what the end goal was are overjoyed, and the people who have been brainwashed, and I say this again, brainwashed by the education system and the history of America without knowing truthfully what they were being educated on, what they were being educated to do, and what this country has done, can even comprehend. An individual who might not genuinely hate brown people, who might not genuinely understand that undocumented work benefits corporations, will gladly follow along with a immigration rhetoric until they see how it's being portrayed or how it's happened in practice. And only when they see what's happening do they realize, oh, that's not good. They still don't understand that the connection between fear of other, of countries and borders, and not viewing people as people, and where that starts, and how that rhetoric is built upon over years and years of propaganda, has led them to this end goal, which is, okay, if you don't fix the process of citizenship, you have to, or it inevitably leads you to figuring out how to round up people fast and quick, which people are going to fall through the cracks. And then inevitably, when you're now taking people not from any country they've ever lived in for long periods of time, for one, maybe they've never even been there. A lot of the people who were sent to El Salvador were supposed to be Venezuelan, which aren't the same countries. But then on top of that, these countries now have a problem of okay, well, we can't just keep housing and feeding these quote unquote criminals. That leads to death camps. This is exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. And it's just the fact of the matter that a warrant assault on education in America, where they have tried to sanitize and whitewash the history, has led individuals into being not just apathetic observers, but passionate participants of ideology that, if you put it in a different context with different faces, they would never agree to in a million years. And so that's just what I want everybody who's listening to try and frame in their minds, that everything we're talking about, everything this Trump administration is doing, it's not different from what Republican policy has been for years. It's just on steroids. Okay?
Also, I think what people fail to understand is like, and I saw like a short about it, but it's like democracy is like literally crumbling in front of our eyes, and like no one is doing anything about it. Like I don't, what has been the response from the Democratic Party? Like Amanda Seals' take, not mine. I'll echo that. But also another take that I heard that I can't remember where I heard was the fact that people in Nazi Germany like fought for Hitler to be in the position he was in. Like he was loved, like people welcomed it. And it's crazy to watch people play into the hands of their own destruction, because the reality, and we talk about this all the time, is that based off of, yeah, money having some degree of influence, but education also having some degree of influence. Like we've all managed to survive whatever is happening up until this point, right? In our respective fields and what have you. But people are acting like they didn't know that this was the plan all along. Like, why are we shocked?
Yeah. And that goes back to my initial election conversation where I said the people that I put the blame on, it's like a sandwich. And a part of that blame sandwich was on voters who, for whatever reason, didn't vote for Kamala because they were maybe not pragmatic enough that the issue of the genocide in Palestine rewired their thinking to say, we can survive a second Trump presidency, and so we'll just wait till the next go around. It's also to the people who are apathetic to the political process in general, where they would say things like, why would I vote? My vote doesn't matter. And then, yes, to the individuals who voted for Trump, whether because they fully understood the vitriol and evil that he was playing with and they wanted it, to those who disregarded it and because they didn't have a understanding of what the Biden administration did for America, that they said we can't have that sleepy nigga in there again. Or, and a lot of this goes to the brosphere, the people who have never had an intellectual argument to give politically outside of the cult of personality, right? That whole bro thing of like, yeah, we just like Trump because he makes us feel good. America looks like they're badass again. We have to start asking
Look at his
more of the
younger wife that
electorate.
hates him.
We need to demand more from the electorate, right? If we are going to benefit from being on the better end of capitalism, to the fact that we can give an iPhone, a literally fucking computer, to the majority of Americans, regardless of socioeconomic status, right? Most people have a smartphone. Use that motherfucker. Pull it out. Read an article. Go, and there's a great app for it, Ground News, where you can see how the news is being portrayed by both sides. But right now, in contemporary America, even the right-wing people are having to be somewhat honest about the unprecedentedness that America is experiencing and about to face right now.
Right,
Again,
because at the end of the day, it's you being on the right wing of things is not going to save you if you don't make a certain amount of money. We kept talking about this. It's always going to be the rich versus the poor. And I'm not really going to be convinced of that, regardless of whether you identify as a Republican, a Democrat, Independent, Green Party. I don't fucking know. But I don't know. My concerns are actually not even concerns. But did you see that live? It was like a live map of the ports, and the ports in China were like filled with ships, and
oh
the
yeah,
LA ports were empty
yeah.
as fuck. Yeah.
So let's go to our
I'm worried about people who we already have housing insecurity, we already have food insecurity that looks different across the 50 states in this country. And with one of the goals being shifting responsibility, I feel like, and also rights more over to the state side, I'm worried that we're going to start seeing like, some Great Depression era things happening in the fucking Midwest. Like the Nebraskan farmers are screaming and crying like they didn't vote for Trump because
yes,
who
they
was
did.
gonna work your farm? Who was gonna
They
work
did.
your farm?
That's the thing, though, Donica, and
Who
like
was working the farms, guys? Like this is
undocumented
crazy.
immigrants.
And where are
But
they now? Yeah.
They're
So
gone.
what? But that's
hopefully,
gonna impact
hopefully they
us
went back
too,
to
right?
Mexico for
Like,
their own safety.
yeah.
I want to say
Hopefully.
this is a brilliant segue for the first thing we'll talk about, which is the Trump tariffs, right? That's what started the madness that you're speaking on right now. And the Trump tariffs are exemplary for two reasons. Well, multiple reasons. Two that I found very interesting was that it showed, at least, or it should show to every American who is not an ultra millionaire or billionaire who can absorb the losses from a political system disregarding their populace by the fact that the tariffs have gone by so poorly. This is and the only benefits of the tariffs have been experienced by individuals who have massive amounts of capital to be able to pump and dump the S&P 500, or for those of you who don't know, the stock market, which the S&P 500 is a grouping of the 500 most valuable companies who are based in the United States. And I use based in quotation marks. But basically, if you've been living under a rock, which I don't know how the fuck you've been living under a rock, because again, they're talking about this on every fucking channel, okay? Trump instituted tariffs, which is again a tax on the import of certain goods or services from a different country, right? The tariffs went into effect on April 2nd, which is what Trump signified as Liberation Day. Subsequently, the tariffs were removed on April, what was it, 13 days? So was it the 15th? Oh, no, yeah. Was it the 15th?
Dog, he was watching that stock market. That's the only reason why he removed those.
Yeah,
Tariffs.
yeah.
Even though he denies it, that nigga watches the stock market.
Well, the nigga does not watch the stock market. He watches Fox News and what they tell him about the stock market. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the Trump tariffs that were going to be a tax on imports from certain countries were supposed to be, without a doubt, everlasting until the situation in Trump's mind got fixed. But after seeing the stock market drop the way it did in the week and a half span that they were in play, and again, if you're listening and you have money in a Robinhood account or I think it's a Moogly account, there's like a few other Moo, that's what it was. Yeah. If you have money in your a 401k, if you have money in an IRA that's attached to the S&P 500, and you don't believe what I'm saying, go check how that shit dipped from April 2nd all the way back up to April 13th, and it's still not reached the level that it was at. We erased trillions of dollars from the market in just that amount of time. And again, education time. For people who are like, I don't have any money tied up in the stock market, this doesn't affect me, you are ignorant. Everybody's retirement Remember what we were talking about a few episodes ago about why Social Security is so important? It's because at this point in time, unless you are a police officer, unless you are a firefighter, or unless you are some other necessary component of government society that they felt like you deserved a pension, your retirement plan through your work employer is based off of a 401k that, yes, my friend, is attached to the stock market. So everybody who works on a I work for a living basis has money tied into the stock market, whether you want it to be or not. Okay. If you have a small business, right, that relies on packaging, that relies on raw materials, it was affected. 2 trillion of all of our money has just been evaporated from the government. It's not going to come back either. It's not like because Trump took the tariffs off, that money was just going to be regenerated. No, what Donica was talking about is that they have thermodynamic scans as well as multiple reports now that say about a 40 to 60% drop in containers, like container cargo ships coming from China. Those businesses that need those supplies over the next few months, I don't know how long it's going to take to get us back to a semblance of normalcy, or if we'll ever go back to that, because that's the other portion I want to talk about. We don't know if that'll ever happen. But what we do know now, what they are forecasting now, is that wherever you are in America, and most likely the further away you are from a coastal city, so the further away you are from an LA, the further away you are from a DC, from a Baltimore, from a Las Vegas, from a New York, the further you are from a Houston, from a Dallas, from a major city. I know a lot of y'all, real old-fashioned Americans want to talk about city life, but wherever you are, if you're far away from one of those types of areas, you're going to feel this much more. There is going to be empty shelves. There is going to be businesses closing down. I was just listening to the Breakfast Club this morning, and they were talking about how just hilarious, her favorite nail shop lady was basically talking about how they could only do a certain type of nail, and a lot of different nails were not available because per her small business, they cannot buy in bulk. They were buying off of a strict plan to make sure that they could make a certain amount of revenue. Mm-hmm. She's going to have to either increase prices, which she doesn't want to do because she's been there for 20 fucking years, or they're going to have to shut down. But in the interim still, they're going to be affected. This is going to affect many Americans who are not cognizant of politics to any level so bad, because imagine you've been one of those people who said politics never affected me, so you don't vote. Imagine you're one of those people who says, yo, all politicians are bad and they just want to feed the jigaboos in Atlanta, and you're not even going to understand why you can't go get your hair extensions anymore, or you can't why this t-shirt is now $30. Because the other part about how this is going to affect Americans is not only is there going to be a shortage of supply because our president did this stupid shit, but there's also going to be artificial inflation because businesses who aren't affected by this are going to do the same thing they did during COVID, which is, hey, there are no laws against price gouging. We're going to price gouge because at the end of the day,
if they need it's all about a competitive market.
No, it's not about a competitive market. What this is a poisoning of unregulated capitalism, which dictates we need to make more money next year than we did this year. And that means, yeah, I can see you still. We can't hear you. So
I'm telling Isaiah to wake up.
Oh, that means it doesn't matter what the fuck what the fuck we put in the fucking, like, if businesses had it their way, and it's been this way before, and this is why them removing FDA food testing protocol is crazy. But if a business could put lead in donuts to make them more cream filled, if a business could put carcinogenic materials in your toothpaste to make it last longer, or if a business just wants to say, hey, I know we made $10 million in profit from selling these shirts at this price last year. Fuck it, make it go. I want $2 million in profit, double it. They're gonna do it, bro. They're gonna do it because they've either accepted the loss of humanity, or they've been indoctrinated to tell them that it doesn't fucking matter. And that is, again, when you look at which party wants more hyper capitalism, more unregulated capitalism, historically it's been the Republican Party. So I'm telling you, the phenomenon we're seeing, which is, how can we change the global economic system to more benefit the accumulation of capital by the few richest Americans in America, is not a Trumpian thing. It's the Republican conservative thought that has just been now put on steroids. The other side of this issue, though, that I think you should also be aware of, that I think is very poignant, is what helps this idea and this idea go on is racism. Where does racism play in this situation? Multiple ways.
You know racism's not real.
But it goes into the simple, look at it this way. How racist do you have to be to think you can bully the entire world? That includes nations who have built themselves up from an industry level to the fact that their GDP is now a few trillion off of ours. And the fact that we buy everything from them, that we could bully them, that they were so dumb, that they were so weak of spirit, that we could bully them with one of the least intelligent leaders we've ever had. They really sat up on that TV screen for months saying, we're going to have this figured out in days, hours. You think they're going to stand up to us? Taheen, you think they're going you think that I don't even know the racist things they call Asian people, but you think those Lego colored people?
I don't think you need to look for us racial slurs. I think we got the point. I think he's running away from the point quickly. You see, this is a prime example, everyone, of how you could only talk yourself too far,
corner,
into the wrong direction. Listening is just as important.
How much prejudice do you have to have?
You done put fucking Isaiah to sleep, bro. You done lulled his sleep.
How much prejudice do you have to have for you to think you could beat China?
We know the answer. The level of prejudice of a fucking Cheeto. I don't know what to tell you. We heard you. The point has been made.
Okay. What are y'all most worried about? What are y'all most worried about going up in price? Have y'all talked to your family members?
My flight tickets.
Honestly, just
why like food. I'm being serious.
Did you think by the time this year is out, they're gonna allow niggas with an American passport in some countries?
No.
I'm not. That's your problem.
They just said, you got 2 passports?
I got an OCI card.
What was the?
You think I don't have an exit plan, Jabari? How long have you been friends with me? Before you go into this, I want to stop and make a public service announcement that I've been saying that we can.
Bro, she telling why you don't spill your exit plan? Look, they gonna sabotage you.
I didn't say what the exit plan was.
Oh, okay.
She speaks 3 languages
and counting. Parlez-vous français?
Oh.
I'm trying to pick up my Spanish. I'm going straight to Mexico City. Hey, primero. Let's do primero.
Primero? It's primo. Primero is first.
Oh, primo. Hey, look.
It's like,
Español normal.
They'll be like, nigga, we speak English. And they'll call you nigga too. and they're gonna look at you in the face and be like, we love Trump.
Señor, quiero aprender. Por favor, please. Take me. I don't want to go back.
Don't. Oh, but you know who really doesn't want us? The fucking Canadians. I'm afraid of a war, probably most seriously.
With Canada?
No, not Canada.
Come on.
Sorry, no offense to the Canadians. Not y'all niggas. We're not fucking scared of going to war with you. Like, niggas not
Right? Come
matter.
on. We'll
The,
have
the
that
worst
fight
thing
in
that's
Texas
gonna happen, the
It's
worst thing that's gonna
stubborn.
happen is what? Trade can't come over here again.
You think with China
Hey,
and
relax,
Russia,
because
we
like
would have a
he
war?
really not fucking with us right now. Okay, nigga said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and
We
give
have
the
bigger
UK
fucking
our
problems,
3-day
Drake. Okay,
festival.
like it was never in America. OVO was in Toronto. Wireless has
You
always
think
been in London.
you're afraid of war
Uh,
with China and Russia?
Don't say their names. The
there
fuck?
there was a new country who just
Say it.
denied. I think it was like Medellin or something, or they basically were like, we're not gonna allow
That's a
Israeli travel
city.
here anymore. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, where's that city at? Where's that city
in
at?
Colombia, Medellin,
No, it wasn't Colombia. I don't know,
Yemen. No,
but
I'm just throwing things out there.
no, they're in a war zone.
Thank you, Troy. Can't take a
Okay,
joke.
wait, what were you saying, Isaiah?
No, like I
When
guess
he was
like
when he
with
was asleep or just now?
no,
I would have hated to have you as a teacher. You know that?
Oh yeah,
well,
you could
Donica.
play with
Because
me.
her mouth is so smart. Like, could you imagine being like an uppity child in Donica's class? Oh my god.
you be
Yeah,
too
they
much.
got shut it. They got shut down, and that's why your paper got drool on it.
She's
No, it's
have
actually
teachers.
very
She's have
kind.
teachers to
Oh,
walk by. Look at your paper. Okay, class, can we just make sure we are reading through the whole problem before we put our answer down? Like,
I didn't
damn.
teach math because that shit don't make sense the way they teach it these days. They're not just picking up numbers no more. No, but honestly, all the kids I taught needed rest because they had unstable homes. So I had a nap corner for them. That's the real tea. Don't let the
By the
arts.
way, Abbott Elementary is such a good fucking show. And if you have not started watching it, Donica, you would love it. But
I
I'm sorry,
haven't.
Isaiah. What are you saying?
No, I need to watch that show because one of my friends recommended that show too. I started watching You, and then also another show which it's very ghetto. It's ghetto, but it's funny.
We still describing things as
But
ghetto.
Nigga,
no,
what the fuck? What are you worried about Chinese China not sending
He's
you?
like, I'm
Like,
worried that I can't
but like
watch you
war,
in
like
this ghetto ass.
I guess like wars with China.
cause look, if they up the price of Netflix, that's how you know. The fuck? What the
I
fuck
was like,
comes from China
wait.
and Netflix?
Speaking of shows, let me tell you about the new shows I'm watching.
Who me?
No, I say the question
Oh
was, what are you most worried about besides the price of Netflix rising?
no, it's not the price of Netflix, but like just like the cost of food, the cost of living, just like normal things that like I feel like that we don't really like think about, like just gas, wars with different countries about the tariffs. I mean, because it is a possibility. I mean, there could be a war. I mean,
All right, what I'm most worried about them not fucking or them increasing the price of is that specific type of mouthwash that's already $12.
is it Listerine?
You know,
No.
it's like the comes in the blue bottle with like the orange cap.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit. Like, I seem like every time I go to the grocery store, that shit like $24. Like, I'm like, the fuck.
Yeah.
like I be getting all my toiletries, and it's like, okay, 4, 5, 6, the 12. God damn, like the fuck, like
There's a lot of products though in the grocery store that like people think that are made in the U.S. that are not made in the U.S. Like there's the
people. We
those
make,
Dino chicken nuggets.
bro.
No, I'm just saying like those Dino chicken nuggets. Like those are made in Canada, and they're the
Americans don't know how anything in the world works, and that's the thing. Like,
That's our education system
I
is
feel
shit.
like growing up. I feel like growing up, one of the like funny moments, or not funny, but just like what do they call it? Like that streamlined consciousness moment that we all experience. It's like what do they
Canon
call it?
moments.
Yeah,
Canon
yeah. A
moment.
canon event is of like, yo, this is made in China. Yo, this is made in China. Everything's made in China. Like, like people in my age group, like we all went through life just going, damn, this is made in China. Damn, this is made in China. Like you kind of viscerally understood. We don't manufacture anything in America.
including
So
intelligent
then,
humans, apparently. But
yeah. So then,
let me tell you,
when
look, don't take it personally. I've gotten dumber since living here. I knew way more before I immigrated to this country because you weren't America is.
when's the last time either of you guys read and it wasn't for school?
I'm struggling to make it through my book right now.
Isn't it crazy how
I
reading wasn't
fall
always this
asleep
hard?
immediately. It's the Heaven and
Attention
Hell
span shorter.
Earth Grocery Store by James McBride.
I
It's
am just
good,
now.
good book.
I'm just now getting to the point where my reading comprehension is getting back up to speed. Where like I'm finishing again, when I first got back into reading, I was doing 10 pages a day. I was like, yo, I'm gonna force myself to read 10 pages. And some of the books I was reading were thick. Like the second book in Barack Obama's autobiography series was thick. Okay. He started talking a lot about Senate procedure. And I'm like, dog, the fuck, yo. But, I'm kind of not breezing through because it's a good book, but how Europe underdeveloped Africa. This would have been 5 years ago, this would have been like, bruh, type of shit. But no, Donica said it best. America has made us societally more dumb. Kids don't read anymore. And when people do read, oftentimes they're not reading anything of substance, whether that's emotional substance, whether it's philosophical substance, or whether it's historical substance. The information America gave many of us in our primary school educations are, for lack of a better phrase, R-worded when it comes to the history that really happened in the world. Britain, that would have been appropriate. But they have R-worded our education systems. Like, so much of... And then that's in the context of if you're just a white fucking normal American citizen. If you're black, if you're an immigrant, you are learning an imperialized version of history that's only purpose is to make sure the means of production, which is the citizenry, is more malleable to unregulated capitalism. You know how fucking long it was before I knew that they were breeding slaves? That the horrors of chattel slavery they were horrors. It wasn't just a wrong we committed. And at the same time, I feel like every year I find some new perversion or some new aspect of capitalism that perverted my people in an effort to keep the profit flowing. And it just bewilders me because at least I was talking to my girlfriend about this earlier, there's this beauty about being a black American where no matter where you fall in society, right, as you're growing up, you're most likely have heard the government's fucked up and not looking out for you. You could have grown up a church-fearing household. You could have grown up in, nigga, we don't go to church. You could have grown up in the dope boys corner where, at 12 years old, you're hopping off the porch and you're selling that thing. As much as niggas want to pray to God, be spiritual, or as much as they don't do that shit, we gonna tell you one thing's for sure and two things for certain. The government don't give a fuck about you,
These niggas is lying.
to where the point where the conspiracies sometimes don't even make sense, but at least there is an underlying understanding that it's a conspiracy. Imagine growing up in white American society.
Can I pause for a moment of joy to just say that is probably, if I could find a silver lining in anything, it's black people not being overtly stressed out additionally by this because we told y'all. So I feel like collectively we are moving how we should have been always moving, which is doing what we need to do and keeping our mouth shut about it and letting everybody else figure it the fuck out.
Well, yes and no. I do agree with you. But what I will say is when you've lived under persecution, when new layers of persecution are added, it does less to impact your everyday being, right? And again, for white people, that's what I want to say specifically, where it's like, imagine you grew up in a society, and it's funny because I was specifically talking about how much I love my dad, And for multiple reasons, but one of them is growing up with a white man as a father, I got to experience to some extent what many different white children grow up with, you know? And it's funny because I was saying, yeah, there's just certain moments that if you don't know what you're witnessing, you might not know, but if you do, you do. But like when a white person has come to the realization that the country they live in has never once cared about them because of their position when it falls on the financial level that they live on, and it's just hilarious to me, right? For example, growing up with my dad's never been a big music guy, right? Not to say that he's like music's for the devil or whatever. He's just never been a big music guy. Like I'm talking, we would drive to fucking from King George, Virginia to Harrisonburg, which Don knows how long that drive is. It's about 2 hours, right? 2 hours, 30 minutes with the radio on at like 5 or 6, just enough so there's background noise, but not enough so you can hear Katy Perry, "This is real." And that's the other reason why I knew he didn't give a fuck about what the music was on, because it would just be on whatever, right?
And we were in college like 10 years ago. Okay, don't make that face.
Yeah. And it wasn't until me and my dad started getting to the point where I was successful enough that our relationship really transformed and evolved from a doting father to a doting but loving father and a loving but also immature son to this father-son relationship where we get on the phone, my dad's venting to me about his shit, you know what I'm saying? But mostly to do with the fucking sick-ass government we live under. But it was me realizing, oh, this nigga wasn't angry at me or angry at whatever. This nigga is just so wrapped up in the insanity of, I'm living in a country right now that is destroying and eating itself from the inside out, and I have no functional place to put that energy because I'm white. For black people, it's government, bro. It's crazy. Like it's instant. They look different than us. They've never once been us, and at one point they literally enslaved us. It is so easy to go, them. That's the problem.
Shit,
But when you've been indoctrinated,
it's easy for the black people who aren't foundational black Americans either, because y'all helped us. We got here and they started treating us like, you said, what the fuck is this? And they say, yeah, come over here.
but not just that. And this is another conversation. And this book has just been so good at upping my vocabulary. But you guys are victims of colonialism in many of the different countries you come from. So it's
what people don't talk about often is how the awakening here is actually impacting Africa back home, because there's an unspoken movement of people going back and being like, nah, fuck this, like we don't need to be here. We know, Jabari, we know a couple of people who came to, like when we were in college, that came to the US from respective countries whose families had like governmental positions of wealth and power, like people from 2 specific African countries I can think of that I know for a fact have gone back and been like, from what I can see via the social internet limited, view that I have, that is like they're like building things. Okay, building things in their country.
Was that loud?
Did you dropping the mic? Was it loud? Yeah, I mean not like super loud.
There you go. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was just saying like we're seeing them like go back home and have an impact.
For sure.
Different things. I'm just
saying,
everyone can go back to Africa. We don't need to fight about it. You can choose a country.
But where I'm speaking from is we don't need to do that because one pushes the other. It's like iron sharpening iron. When you are fighting white supremacy and unregulated capitalism in America, you are also fighting colonialism and imperialistic mindset in the various countries in Africa, the various regions in India. I mean, honestly, the people who have done it.
Speaking of India, don't count them as on your side, because the current prime minister of India is just the Indian version of Trump and trying to have his own form of ethnic cleansing and doing different things. So let's not add them to the list.
Whenever I'm speaking about countries, please do not misunderstand me. I'm speaking about the people of that country. people are not their governments. There are far too many. There are far too many governments that have people in government that look like the people who have been indoctrinated still by these same systems we're talking about fighting against, and they do their bidding a lot of times unknowingly, even in their know that they know. They might know I'm doing this, it's corrupt, so I'm getting myself wealthy, but they also don't know how what they're doing in the short term is going to impact for a very long term. And this is
Yeah, no,
also, again, if
I
we're
don't
going to...
disagree with that, but I think even on a people level, it would, for African people or African American people, or really Black people in general, there's still a lot of biases in India. It's like hard to navigate.
Cool.
So
And
I'm saying that as someone who comes from a pretty well developed city in India. Like it's hard for me as
let me,
someone
let
who
me
holds identification from there to like navigate.
yeah.
So
And again,
there's
what we're...
like the unfortunately the Western worldview gets hyper what projected into other countries, and Asia in particular has always had an obsession with Western perspective and therefore white perspective, and has always had an issue with like Black and or African people, and you see that when you travel to those places.
I agree. I am not disagreeing one bit. I was just saying in the sense of anti-capitalism sentiment, and that's what could help the people of India, and specifically that India never benefited from the transatlantic slave trade, in the example of India never switched their slave population to be or they basically, India's slave population was their own population. They benefited from overall capitalism of the transatlantic slave trade just because of the fact that they participated in it and like the goods and services, but they didn't participate
They also
in the
benefited
transatlantic
off of
slave trade.
becoming colonial, like picking up on colonial tactics as well.
Exactly, exactly. But,
They
but
colonized
basically, what I
Kenya.
was talking about, the topic that I was speaking on, and why it's fighting, like why it's all the same, is because the interpoles or the metropoles that have benefited the most from white supremacy in America are the same metropoles that brought white supremacy to America through their efforts to imperialize the world and their victories with their colonialism in specifically the continent of Africa, right? And I was just saying on the piece about people aren't their governments, and why even if a person looks like the people in that government, and why they could still be and why oftentimes they are still agents of the metropoles that employ or originate the white supremacy and unregulated capitalism, is because a lot of the countries in Africa specifically, so you're looking like Nigeria and Ghana, and then a lot of the more religiously Middle Eastern Islamic religion countries, so like Ethiopia, the
Somalia,
Sudan,
Sudan,
Somalia, yeah.
Morocco. I mean, yeah, Morocco, Algeria, all the North
Oftentimes,
Africans.
not even oftentimes, every time the impotence for education was placed, it was never equal, for one, but also it was instructive in or it was purposed so that they could indoctrinate the students who go through that school, not just the white colonial settlers, but anybody of that country of origin who got the chance, because it was a small sliver of minority people who got the chance to go to those schools, were indoctrinated to love the mother metropole. And a lot of those schools are still touted as the better schools in these countries, whether it be Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. And so one would be ignorant to say that the education that these individuals are getting are not still in some way, shape, or form dedicated to making sure that the people who come out of those schools have some type of deference towards the mother metropole, right? I know from my experience in Ghana, the reason why my instructor and guide was so passionate about making sure students go to the University of Ghana, why so many students who have had the privilege to grow up in the more colonized areas like Accra or Osu venture out into the greater parts of Ghana and develop kinship with their fellow brethren is so that they gain a level of nationalism for their country, because so much of the aristocracy and bureaucracy and bureaucratic classes of these countries have been terrorized by imperialistic forces, not just colonialism, but as soon as the people who, like, again, the French, the Portuguese, the English, as soon as they saw that the writing on the wall for colonialism was up, after because again, people who don't understand how long or how long colonialism lasted, it was about 75 years across the continent, but it wasn't until after World War II that niggas in the white metropoles were like, "Hey, bro, we kind of look like we are doing the same shit as Hitler's doing." Like, when you look at it from a macro level, and I know we've been doing that, but people are trying to talk about it. So what they did was fashion their education systems so that they can continue to remain and retain power in these black and brown countries. And so without the need of having a full military force there, they can just let education do the rest. And again, like what Donica's saying, because I do believe we are in this second renaissance of Pan-Africanism, where you have black people across the world waking up from the propaganda, the ones who have been woke, okay? Because again, they didn't, even though that they systematically destroyed the Black Panther Party, they didn't kill the children of those people. They didn't kill the ideas and the sentiment of those people. They've been screaming. They've been talking. The people in, again, Ghana and South Africa, the people who in South Africa were up in arms about Nelson Mandela, right? They're building a coalition, and they're now having conversations on the national level about taking back the land from white settlers and giving it to the government so that it can be redistributed back across the country. And when people ask them, well, what about the white settlers? They righteously and without any type of imposter syndrome say, what the fuck about them? They came here 75 years ago and stole land for the purpose of gaining capital in their metropoles, not for the purpose of improving the lives of the people on this this country. You know what I'm saying? Where the people are waking, and again, this is that double-edged sword of this Trump administration, where their racism and their deference for unregulated capitalism and the racism that supports it has just opened up the eyes of so many people who are asleep. Because again, bro, if the fucking country who has benefited from capitalism and imperialism around the world says it's not enough, what the fuck are you talking about? Then what is it for the rest of us? You know what I'm saying? And we just have to continue having these conversations, okay? Continue to force the electorate to think larger and deeper about these issues, right? And I think once you get to the conclusionary end of conservative Republican American policies, then you start to ask, okay, then so if these Trumpian policies and the thing that's going on in this government are just what the extreme side of the Republican Party want, what does the extreme side of the Democratic Party want? And I think that's where we need to start turning the conversation, because I think Donica said earlier that, you know, there's this big problem with our politics on both sides, and that's the truth. But right now, I'm sure you guys have seen those rallies with AOC and Bernie Sanders. There's been the Jasmine Crockett's of the world. We already had the Ilham Omars. We already had the what is her name? Pramila Jayapal's. There are individuals who speak for the quote unquote far left or socialist program that if many Americans did some research on, they'd realize I like the way this sounds. I implore people to go watch Pete Buttigieg talk on the Flagrant podcast about what his view for America is, and I'm gonna try to find it so I can play it for us because there's two people who spoke on ideas of how they think America should move in practice when it comes to our government, and they're beautiful illustrations of a government that's working for people and working for the benefit of people, not for the benefit of a small few, right? Let me see if I can find that shit, bro. Let me see if I can find that shit. But one of the things that Hassan Piker was talking about that eloquently summed up how we could be looking at things from a different view is, imagine if we had, again, us with the world's largest military, a military that was focused on building bridges and not destroying them, right?
That'd be awesome.
So we've had natural disasters right now in LA, wildfires that were unprecedented. We've had flooding unprecedented in West Virginia. We've had tornado seasons that has wrecked the Rust Belt. And at this point right now, we're set with a government who is cutting funds from FEMA and not trying to extend resources there. Imagine if we had a government that instead of debating on whether or not we should send troops to Yemen and fight the Houthis, even though nothing has been successful in that fight for years, or we weren't arming an Israeli genocidal occupation to destroy another ethnic group, and we were spending all that money on our military to be deployed stateside and not to quell a riot or to impose authoritarianism or fascism on our own people, but to help rebuild LA or to help rebuild that community in West Virginia that we talked about a few podcast episodes ago. Mm-hmm. Or when Katrina happened, that it wasn't just the National Guard, it was the full might of the American military complex going in to build bridges instead of going and fighting wars of attrition or wars of capital building for a small select few private military industrial complexes. We don't have to be in the world the same way that we have been since me and you have been on this earth. You know, all it takes is a little bit of honest conversation and people giving a fuck to actually cipher through their government and what it's doing.
Dog, I agree with you, dog. I agree with you, dog.
Yeah, come closer to the mic, bro.
Hey, you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, come on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, no, I completely agree with you. Like, there's definitely like on two ends of the spectrum of politics, whether you're Democrat, Republican, there has to be a discussion talked about that, and until we have that discussion, I don't see anything changing until that discussion's being had. But
I mean, what I will say is it's starting to be had now. But with the way that our current political system works, as long as it will, for first and foremost, Trump cannot run for a third term. They've been printing Trump 2028 hats. I don't know if you've seen it on his website. Have you seen it?
Like, I've seen it, but for that, if that was to happen, and for the people that like are, because there are people on the side of Democrats thinking like it is going to happen. Like, if that was to happen, that would be the end of democracy. By that.
But what I'm saying, Isaiah, is that he's already defying court order.
He
is already denying due process to individuals. He's already a 39 count convicted felon who ran for office once when felons in this country can't even vote. So we have to stop talking about, well, if he does this, then is this. No, we are there now. So what I'm saying is the conversation about that needs to be not if he does, but when we prevent him from doing that.
Exactly.
You know? And the problem is, just like we were saying before, there aren't enough Democrats who supposedly believe in democracy, for one, but two, believe in the same ideals of how our government should move as we do, clearly, because not as many are talking about the issues that we care about. You have Hakeem Jeffries, every time he seems to open his mouth, is worried about billionaire and multimillionaire donors, when we need to be moving away from a political system that takes any advice from a multimillionaire or multi-billionaire more so than your average Joe citizen. One person, one fucking vote. Simple as that. We've already seen what 20 years of trickle-down economics can do to a country. To 20 years of politicians on both sides of the aisle telling us, guys, if we give the people who make and have the most tax cuts, that revenue that they create is going to trickle down to you. Okay? We have been letting the message of piss on me and call it rain for 20 fucking years. How about now we invest in the population and see what happens? We gave them 20 years of that bullshit. How about now we tax them at the rate they should be taxed at, and we provide healthcare for
Greed
everybody.
begets greed, especially in a country where it's legal to be greedy. Like, in fact, it's encouraged, right?
That-
Like, everything. And I feel like something that I've been reflecting a lot on lately is how, like, influencer culture is like the newest form of funding these like corporations, right? Because if you can be a dying business, but all of a sudden you're Wendy's and you start having some clever tweets, people start fucking with Wendy's again. Like, you're making a comeback. Like, there's so many influential things that happen in this, like, through media, and it's like, we just, they'll put lipstick on a pig and y'all will forget that it's a fucking pig. Like, it's just actually insane. Like, I don't understand how we all like turn our fucking brains off.
Bro, the emperor has no fucking clothes, and instead of everybody, it's literally that. It's literally the book. The emperor has no fucking clothes, and you have some of the most, I don't want to say uneducated, like that's a problem, but you have children being able to go, that man doesn't sound right. Like, I don't know if the last time you guys have listened to a full Trump speech, or you have just
Never
listened to Trump make a statement, but next time you do,
Never
go find the
listened to a
transcript of it.
Wow.
Don't
No.
listen to the full thing, because we have been desensitized to his cognitive decline. Go get a transcript and just read it. And tell me right now, both of you have worked in healthcare, I want y'all to give me the diagnosis you would give that patient, because this man belongs in a home. But on top of that, let me just go ahead and say, we can keep doing trickle-down economics.
I mean, at this
or
point, I'm not
we can
worried
do
about
something
Trump.
like
We know that he's literally
what-
just doing the bidding of the billionaires. So
No, but hold on. It's not just that. Or we could start talking like this. This is what the left should be talking like.
He's just mentally ill. He's just
all the
mentally ill.
controversies are over what that's like. Like, I want you to be able to get up in the morning, and the first thing you do is you commute to work. And by the way, if you're on EV, I want that to be affordable for you. Or if you're on public transit, not to get back into the subway situation, but I want you to have good public transit to get to where you're going. And then when you get to that job, I want you to be paid well. And if you're about to have a kid, I want you to know that you're going to have parental leave when you have that kid. And if you don't want to have a kid, I want you to have the right to choose whether to have a kid, which means access to birth control and abortion and those things that give you the freedom to decide on that. And if you already have a kid, when you pick them up at school, I want that school to be good, not having its funding slashed while they set fire to the Department of Education. And then when you get home, I want you to be in a neighborhood that is safe and where you can breathe the air, because we didn't let them get rid of the Clean Air Act. And you don't have to think for one moment about whether the air you breathe or the water you drink is clean and clear, which actually takes a lot, because it means the government has to constrain those actors that would make you unfree by polluting the air and polluting the water. And then when you go to bed, I want you to know that your family's going to be fine, even if it's family like mine, despite there being some Supreme Court justice who wants to obliterate your family because it doesn't match his interpretation of his religion. Like, that's the life I want everybody to be able to live.
Yeah, I think
we can deliver that. I don't.
that's fine. Listen.
Again, that is Pete Buttigieg, who was a potential candidate for presidency the first go around when we elected Joseph fucking Biden. And
when we elected America's grandfather.
If you ask a majority of Americans who Pete Buttigieg is, they wouldn't know who he is, or they might say something crass like, "Oh, he's the gay Democratic politician," right?
Exactly.
Or
What does that have to do
if you
with
ask
anything?
Americans, "Hey,
Nothing.
does that sound like the fact that Americans are too worried about gender issues, or not gender, but issues of the bedroom and
Sexuality?
issues of the bathroom, that it supersedes their ability to think critically about any fucking issue that would really hamper their bedroom or their bathroom?" What I'm
Yeah.
saying is the
First of
conversations
all, they're
of
struggling in
what
both of those
America
departments,
would look like.
so it's natural
Yes, but the conversation
for them to be
of
haters.
what could or what would America look like if it was different is being had. It's being had on.
This
Sorry, I
nigga
just
just
this
stand up on us. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Sit down, MLK. That's fine.
This man is like
He
getting
said,
into it. Okay, I
like,
see you. I see the energy.
no.
matter of
Fuck you
fact, I'm
guys.
gonna stand up.
Fuck you guys.
Did nobody come to your fucking speech? What's your problem?
It's just hot on this side. But I
Aw.
can't see you guys now. But basically, what I'm saying is that I'm sick and tired of having conversations with individuals who have not done the same level of due diligence and tell me the conversation is the same on both sides of the aisle. It's not. I'm tired of talking to people who don't go outside enough to understand that what the standard corporate Democrat who has been losing election after election after election, unless they're a dynamic speaker like Barack Obama, or they come after a first Trump presidency, that Democratic policy, as it's been for our entire lives, is as good as it gets. We can do better. We can do a lot better, but it has to come from an understanding that most of the policy decisions, policy ideas that come from an American with only a formal education, and when I say only a formal education, I don't care if you have a PhD. If you have only gotten the education that America thinks you should have and haven't been outside the country in a real way to really observe maybe how the world has come to be the way it is, or you have some type of racial biases that you've never come to confrontation with, so it denies you the ability to think outside of the box, you're not the type of thinker we need in office right now. You're not the type of voter we need to make America quintessentially great again. It never was great, but to make America great, bro, we need a better class of politician on both sides of the aisle. But right now, if I'm speaking for any party, I'm speaking for the Democratic Party, because the Republican agenda is what you're seeing at its completion. It is a stretch for Christian fundamentalist authoritarianism, where they can dictate what your kid learns in school as long as it's Christ based, where they can dictate who you marry or who you fuck because it's Christ based, or who has the power and makes the decisions in this
Please
country,
put
as long as
Christ-based
it's
in quote
white male and
unquotes.
Christ based.
You got to put that Christ-based in quote unquotes, because there's white Christ and then there's Jesus Christ. And I promise you that he was not that man.
Yeah,
Regardless.
and that is only
That's another thing of actually
and
why
again,
we
Donica's
need to
speaking from.
understand things from a multi, I want to say multi-generational, but also like transcontinental view, because it doesn't take much. Like, if you actually like either talk to people from different places, not like someone who is racially different from you but has grown up in the same neighborhood as you for their entire life, like someone who's actually not from America, travel outside of America yourself, talk to people directly there, like you start to see what the common thread is, and you pick up on the fact that there's always gonna be an us versus them. And if you think that you're on the side of quote unquote us, just know that that audience will change to benefit the people in power, which most often is the most wealthy, regardless
All right, is she
of
cutting out for
race.
you, Isaiah, or is it just
Yeah,
me?
she cutting out. She cutting out. I
I'm
can't.
cutting out.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
can't
mean?
hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello?
No, I can't
You're
hear you.
That's disappointing.
You cutting out,
Say
Donovan.
what? All right.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's it's a tricky situation, but I think
Hello?
we can
Hello?
hear you now. But
Okay, now.
you got two recordings going on.
No, I left the other one.
Yeah, it's still there. I don't know, it's still there, but I just hope it's fine. It's just, buddy. I'm sorry, man. I've tried to keep everybody to one thing, but
Look, you said you can't hear me.
I mean, shit. Let's touch on some other quick fire things that the Trump administration has done that I think you guys should really look in on yourself. But again, we haven't done our due diligence to speak on the fascism that Trump has been employing this last month of April. But to date, we have multiple American citizens or individuals who hold some level of right to be in America, whether that's a student visa, whether that's a just a green what do you call it, the green visa, the one where you get for working,
A green card.
green card. Yes, sorry. We've had multiple.
That's for like you are in the process of becoming a citizen, but so you're like a legal resident, basically.
We've had multiple people. Yunseo Chung, Ramisa Ozturk,
Put some
Mahmoud
glasses on.
Mahmoud Khalil. He is actually a person that the Justice Department at this point has said it is legal to deport him back to Syria, which is a fucking war zone, but they're currently appealing. And then the one that I'm sure, if you haven't been paying attention to any case, you've been paying attention to this one because it's all Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, Jon Stewart, The Breakfast Club talked about it, but Kilmar Abrego, a Maryland man, again, Maryland citizen, this nigga is a citizen of the United States, was bagged and abducted and then sent incorrectly to one of these slave labor death camps in El Salvador. So much so that not only did the Supreme Court rule 9-0 that it was illegal for Trump and the Trump administration to send this man there, but the Trump legal team in and of itself, while it was arguing that it was legal to send him there, had no evidence of any wrongdoing and said it was actually incorrect that they sent them, are now refusing to bring him back. When you look at the fact that both Trump and the dictator of El Salvador were both in the Oval Office together saying it was not within either of their authoritarian jurisdiction to release this man. But on top of the fact that it's not like El Salvador pays for these jails by themselves, we're sending millions to El Salvador to pay for the incarceration of these free men without due process. This is fascist Nazi shit, bro. This is Gestapo level shit. And for those of you guys who are like, how? Well, first and foremost, let's look at the fact that we are sending people to jail in a foreign country without due process. That is the same thing Hitler did with the Holocaust. Auschwitz wasn't in Germany. Think about that. The major death camp we talk about when we remember the atrocities that were committed during the Holocaust, that death camp wasn't in fucking Germany. The same thing is happening right now. We don't know what's happening to those men that were sent to this prison death camp. We know Omar or Kilmar Abrego was alive because we had a courageous senator who went down there, and they knew if they didn't fucking show this man on national television, the next story is going to be rightfully so. Is he still alive? We know that he's alive for right now. But imagine that was you who got hooked up during the Black Lives Matter protest. Imagine that was you who got hooked up during the Occupy Wall Street protest back in the dot-com bubble protest. Imagine that was you at a Travis Scott concert that maybe was a little bit too rowdy. The fact that these men don't get their day in court means we don't know if the reason that they're experiencing the punishment that they're experiencing is justified. Don't even have to ask and say if they should be punished in the first place, but we just don't know.
Do you think they'll?
And it could be you.
Do you think they'll ever be punished?
Who?
Trump.
What?
Trump.
Okay. Okay. That's a different conversation. I was still.
I know that, but like, do you think he'll ever be punished or ever be like? Because not too many people. I feel like not too many people are like hip on him sending like that man to.
No, it's not that people don't know what's going on. They're okay with it. And I think that's what we need to stop. We need to stop being like, people are ignorant. People are ignorant. You're not fucking ignorant. You're ignoring it. There's a difference.
Which is why.
Like,
Well, but first, before we can even get to the point of will he be punished, we need to get, as what Donica is trying to stipulate, people involved in joining the conversation. You have to understand what's going on and have to be present, and you have to be horrified by it for you to even get to the conversation of how should we punish this man. Right now, there aren't enough people paying attention to even get a class consciousness, huh?
To just get a reaction of like what is going on.
Because again, people are mad. People are on the streets now every day. There's been multiple citywide protests, but you don't see the fucking footage of it. Right now, you still got niggas on Twitter arguing Drake and Kendrick Lamar politics. You just had the biggest thing in Black Twitter happen yesterday was the Shakur Sanders situation and the Shannon Sharpe situation. And again, we're the bullshit for your health. We're bullshit for your health. A podcast that's balanced. I'm not saying you can't not put any of your mind focus on that. Yes, please do not spend every waking hour groveling in the misery of the situation we live in, because you can only...
Jabari's doing that for you.
Yes, I am. But... if you spend all of your time living in that bullshit and pacifying yourself, how are you ever going to be electrified to the point to go out into the street and demand that they remove this man from office? Which is why so many Democratic politicians have had this thought and have even said it on a hot mic. Like the previous leader of the DNC was saying, the best thing Democrats should do right now, Democrat politicians should be to sit back and let the Republicans eat themselves alive. They shouldn't have to fight back. The fuck? Every Democratic politician should be out on the streets just like Bernie Sanders is, just like AOC is, just like Jasmine Crockett is. They should be making a big mess and stink of what this administration, this regime is doing, so that the average citizen understands what we're facing. Right now, we are living through the crumbling of a democracy. Because again, Trump is not just doing the bidding of techno-capitalists. He is, but he's doing it in an effort to consolidate power for himself, so that at the end of the day, this man could have the power and the attention he so clearly wants, but doesn't even know what he wants it for. Which is why it's all over the place. Which is why he's still able to pull back on the tariff situation when it blows up in his face the way it did. Is that you, freaky nigga, or is that me?
No, nigga, that's me. My bad.
But it's simple as that. If we're gonna get to a political space where we have more politicians that sound like Pete Buttigieg arguing over their best vision for how to make everyday life for Americans better. We have to call out the crazy situation we're in right now and realize how far off the beaten path conservative ideology has grown, but that this is still the message and the end goal that they wanted. One where techno-capitalists, which were monopolies and insanely wealthy people, could do whatever they want, while at the same time allowing somebody as corrupt and evil-minded as Trump pursue authoritarianism without any pushback. It leads or ends, or not ends, but like it looks like them using government-funded police to round up citizens for speaking out against a country, not their country, but a random country, committing a genocide on our tax dollars. A majority of these people who've been abducted were simply trying to speak out against the genocide in Palestine. And that's crazy, bro. Meanwhile, some of the other things that this Trump administration is doing is continuing to pump and dump with meme coins.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't fully understand the whole story. So basically, is he like artificially like making like Bitcoin coins essentially?
No. Do you know about cryptocurrency?
I-
You know how it's been a fad? How there's been so many different
Yeah.
meme coins like Dogecoin or Fart Coin or Sweat Coin?
Yeah.
Well, the whole skepticism around blockchain technology and these meme coins is that even the best of it, Bitcoin, there is no utility for it, right? It's not gold. You can't make it into anything. It's simply a function of blockchain technology, which at this point has no real utility. So the idea of what it's worth is only based on the express utility still being shown viable to the people who purchase it. Bitcoin is the fact that it's mineable only in a certain quantity, that once it's all mined, there's no more of it. So similar to gold, the idea that it is a not refinable, but it's a finite resource, basically means that they can use it in the same way as gold as currency. That's the whole idea behind its utility, right? A decentralized currency that nobody can fluctuate the same way some people have rightfully said the American economy has been fluctuated when Nixon took us off the gold standard and we were able to just print money, right? All these other coins, their utility is even worse than that. You know what I'm saying? And so the whole idea behind the meme coin economy has been a new coin comes into production. At this point, we know that the utility the creator is speaking on more often than not is worthless. So the idea is you get in early, or as some people do because it's not regulated, they get in before the rest of the public knows when it's going to go live. People buy in, it goes up. Everybody who got in early, or the people who got insider trading information, are in early already. They see their price, their price point or their share price go crazy high. They immediately sell, causing. And when I say sell, because they hold large quantities of the coin, the overall price dips. And now everybody who put in money, whether you put in $500 and now it's 50 cents, or you put in, I mean, some people do crazy shit like tens of thousands of dollars in and now it's zero, you're shit out of luck. It was a Ponzi scheme that our government right now is not focused on getting rid of. The president of the United States participated in this Ponzi scheme by creating a Trump coin before he was elected or before he was inaugurated,
I remember that.
launching it. And then, as some people have said, or they dumped it. And again, the coin price went from $75 a share to $11 a share. And overall, we don't know for a fact who owned the wallets that pulled it out. Wink, wink, wink. But $2 billion was quote unquote lost. Melania has a coin too.
That's spooky.
So instead of having politicians like Poop Buttigieg or a Bernie Sanders or an AOC talk about how best the government should be working to use tax dollars to benefit you, we have a government full of people trying to get rich off of any sleazy Ponzi-like scheme available that includes rug pulling their own supporters, which is insane, bro.
It is insane. But for the people that do it, like, do you ever have sympathy for them? Like, for the people that, like, fall into that? Or, like...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Listen. Again, I'm not a non-empathetic man. I think there should be some type of FDIC insurance or some type of government body that oversees this stuff, and when people do get scammed, should audit it and get those people their money back. Similar to how the Agency for Consumer Protection, or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau worked before it was destroyed by Elon Musk and his henchmen, which we'll get on that in just a second. There just is they don't have that. They've actively legislated against it, and this administration is so pro-corruption that they're not going to do anything to change it because they're getting money off of it too. What I just implore is that young people who are vulnerable because of the simple fact that they're motivated to do better than their parents, they're motivated to help out their family, and because of that they're looking for get-rich-quick schemes, realize nobody is giving the answer to getting rich quick away. They're just not. And anybody who's trying to sell you that dream is most likely trying to take advantage of you. Because we know for a fact a majority of the people who got extremely wealthy didn't get there alone. A lot of them come from extreme wealth. And then the other ones got lucky and then used shrewd business practices. I'm looking at Mark Zuckerberg. They made a whole fucking movie called The Social Network about it. That got rich and insanely wealthy, but they didn't do it because they were like the nicest, unscrupulous businessmen. You know, they had a crazy idea. They got lucky, and then they cut out all competition through a monopoly. You know what I'm saying? Look at fucking professional athletes. I dare you to say any of these niggas got to where they got to because of a get-rich-quick scheme. Many of them sacrificed decades of their lives to a sport and then got lucky to get to this point. And now that's even becoming less of like a let's go to a broken neighborhood and find a child who's just insanely good at the sport. No, they've been in AAU ball. They've been doing high school ball. They had private trainers. Even that's less luck now and more. I mean, if you were born into a wealthy family and you had all of the access to the sports and the trainers and the talent coaches, and yeah. But no, nobody's given the fucking info of how to get rich quick away for free because it does not exist, bro.
Why do people like think there is, or like have that idea in their head?
Because America propaganda sells that dream to everybody from the second we get into school. It's the whole bootstrap mindset of work hard, go to college, get a good degree, you'll make money. We know that's a lie. And they've made it harder since they've been increasing the cost of schooling and education since the Nixon administration.
And even the degrees too.
Propaganda from our entertainment systems do that. Again, we can't put all the blame on entertainers, but they have a part to play. black culture specifically, but all culture, showing out and bling bling is a thing. But we know it's a thing. We have a whole manosphere right now that feeds itself by giving young men an image of masculinity based off of possessions and harems of women. And the way you get to that level of money is at the expense of another person. It's a culture thing that unfortunately so many people in America fall victim to, because living a different way is so hard. And at least if you live with this mindset of it is possible to get rich quick, and it doesn't matter how I do it or who I hurt in the process, that just means they didn't want it as bad as I did.
True.
That is a mindset that has a net negative on society, in my opinion. And it's one that we have fed and allowed to grow so large because it fits in super nice with the individualism that unregulated capitalism needs to be doctrine for individuals to participate in capitalism. Because again, the way that the individuals who are winning the game of capitalism continue to win is if the individuals who are losers, the ones who are the means of production, who build all the capital, because again, you would not have a Steve Jobs if there was nobody building the iPhones in China and nobody who was mining the zinc and the cobalt in Africa, to the people buying the iPhone for inflated prices in America. If every one of those structures said, wait, I'm not getting a fair shake of this, and you're not getting a fair shake of this, why don't we unite against the 5 people who don't allow us to do that and change the system, right? You need enough people at the bottom believing that they could be winners of that system for them to just go along with the system. You know?
Very true. No, very true.
It's why so many people argue against shit that would just unilaterally be better for them in their system more often than not.
So you think like more people should, like, on the bottom, like, just unite more? Like, if there was like more unity and more like everybody was
class consciousness.
Yeah.
If more people didn't and again, it's so hard here in America because of the poison of white supremacy and the way that white supremacy has been weaponized by individuals with large amounts of capital, that people who are at the bottom and who are being victimized can't even see that they're victims, right? Mm-hmm. White supremacy is such a tool that you now have black and brown people weaponizing it to make sure, in their efforts to raise their own private capital. You see it in Candace Owens. You see it in Ben Shapiro. Mm-hmm. You see it in what's his name, the gay nigga that be doing right wing news media. I know. Oh fuck! I know. I feel like I know who you're talking about. It's okay. It doesn't matter. They can find a ton of. But what I'm basically saying is, you are seeing what I'm talking about in practice every time you see a minority, an individual who could identify with a minority, speaking in favor of the racist propaganda against that minority in an effort to personally enrich themselves. It's literally what I'm talking about in practice. And so many people do it on such a level of subconscious because it has been indoctrinated into our society. You know?
True.
Like, unfortunately, we have to live through a Trump second presidential term. And unfortunately, that term looks like it's never going to end without us forcing this man out of office. Unfortunately, it looks like a lot of the ideals that so many veterans fought for, that so many black people in this country fought for, that so many different immigrant groups fought for, at least for right now, is going to look like it could be in vain if we don't continue to fight for them.
True.
But the silver lining is, without this man doing this, I don't think we would have gotten to, for a society to evolve, you have to build class consciousness to the point where a society can change the structures of it. Okay? A part of me feels like we had to get to some semblance of this point for people who have benefited from neocolonialism, neo-capitalism. And again, when I say people who have benefited, I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about Hispanic people. The people who are able to deny the truth of their history because they're living a comfortable living right now, to wake up and realize their comfortability does not change the reality of the situation they're living in.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to continue striving for a more equitable and equal future for everybody, regardless of how much money you make, or regardless of what your skin color is, regardless of what you got under your belt, or regardless of who you decided to share a bed with, bro. Regardless of who you pray to. America has never been equitable, has never been equal, and in fact, only a few times in history have we made attempts to correct those issues, but every time there's been an equal and sometimes even harsher counterbalance.
I've seen, like, just now, like recently with electing Trump and just him
Exactly.
saying that again repeatedly.
And so what we have to continue to do is hold that light high, bro. If we know better, we need to continue to preach better. We need to continue to educate better. We need to continue to converse with our brethren, our kinfolk, our skinfolk, and let them know it doesn't have to be this way. There's actually people who are smarter than us who've been thinking this way for eons, bro. Again, the book I'm reading right now, Walter Rodney, bro. He was a PhD doctorate holding individual who has been writing about different levels of society, and specifically how Europe has underdeveloped Africa as a continent as a whole since pre-transatlantic slavery, ever since the capitalistic efforts in Europe, Spain, and Portugal decided to outsource the worst aspects of capitalism to Africa in an attempt to make the metropole society, who were also the victims of capitalism, more appeasable towards the capitalism that they were employing. The only reason why Americans were allowed to have cheap goods is because America employed imperialism and colonial and benefited from imperialism and colonialism so that they could enjoy that level of capitalism. The only reason we can buy cheap goods is because there's some body who's working for slave wages in a different country to create the cheap goods. That's a harsh reality of the fact. Most Americans literally needed that to be stripped away from them for them to even start thinking about it. And that's what we're dealing with. Why is it that way? It doesn't have to be. At every step of the way, the end conclusion will be, oh, somebody ran amok with capitalism and racism to the point where they felt no aversion to harming their fellow man. Simple as that, man. It does not have to be this way. But shit, man, we're 2 hours 18 minutes in. There is still still a lot of shit that I want to talk about. Again, man, if you listen to us, we cannot be the only thing you listen to. You have to be out here paying attention. I mean, there's a variety of resources now for you to stay up to date, or at least get a drop of knowledge that you can go back and research yourself. I mean, again, the House just passed the SAVE Act, which required Americans to show their passport or birth certificate. I'm pretty sure the Senate sued, and they made that show that was unconstitutional because it would go against the Voting Rights Act. But at the same time, understand Trump's policies are Republican or conservative policies just without any barriers, and see what this stuff leads to. You start doing different things to disenfranchise voters. Why is that? It's because you don't want certain groups of people voting. So eventually, when you lessen your fight against those forces, you get to this, where they're trying to remove millions of people from the voter rolls unless they have a passport or an ID or a birth certificate. And again, when you start deluding yourself with thinking about, well, I have a birth certificate, so that's fine. What is the common practice with women in America after they get married? Whose name do they take?
They usually take the man's name.
Whose name is on your birth certificate?
The man.
The birth certificate of that woman. She took her husband's name.
Yeah.
Her maiden name.
For my name, I have my dad's middle name. I don't.
Yes, but listen.
But like, no, I'm just saying. I'm answering your question. Yes, it is the man who takes. Yes.
So a woman can't vote now because because she doesn't have a passport, because she's never left the country. Mm-hmm. She can't afford the $100 to get one. She didn't get the real ID, and now she can't. Or actually, the real ID wouldn't matter because you need your birth certificate. But now she can't vote until she figures out a way to change her name back. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like suppression.
It is. It's all voter suppression. Any policy that's meant to strengthen the integrity of our voting system that isn't even utilized by 40%. I think it's like 50% of the country.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck are you talking about? That's not a real issue. But it is a real sentiment expressed by individuals who want to keep certain people off the voter rolls, and that has been taught to us by not just history, but now in practice, in contemporary society. Mm-hmm. The only other thing that I want to talk about, and this is going to be our health topic of the month, the week, the episode, is a change that has caused me to have a lot of just derision, and just every time I suck my teeth, or every time I just, this nigga, bro. And it's the fact that we elected that we didn't elect, but that they confirmed a vaccine skepticist to the role of Health and Human Secretary Administrator. Mm-hmm. Because already in the little time that he has been the Administrator of Health and Human Services, he's done untenable damage. Right? I don't know. Did you see the speech he gave where he basically R-worded autistic individuals, or people who are on the autism spectrum?
Yeah, I did see that speech. I was like, damn, dog. Like, he
was telling people, he spoke about people with any degree of autism, because again, autism is a spectrum. For those of you who don't understand what that means, bro, Elon Musk is autistic. Self-proclaimed autistic. Like, the man has told us we were autistic, that he's autistic.
Yeah,
nigga, I think I'm autistic. I be told that I'm autistic. Sheldon Cooper from the fucking Big Bang Theory is autistic, and as far as I'm concerned, all three of us are able to wipe our asses on our own and pay taxes. Mm-hmm. And this has been said by many people wiser than me, but imagine your litmus test for what makes a productive citizen is if they can pay taxes.
Majority of people would pass.
Right? Like, nigga, what the fuck? There's not even an iota of a man who understands what Americans are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's crazy because at the same time, he wants to be patted on the back for getting rid of 2 different food dyes that they've used at one point in time in food coloring, which, if you do a simple bit of 5-minute research, you realize they rarely use those chemicals anymore anyways. They're getting rid of food testing procedures at the FDA. So that little situation I was talking about earlier about, if a food company could put a carcinogen in a food, because it will make it last longer and that'll improve their profits,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do that if nobody stops them from doing that because they've done it before. The only thing that protects you from making sure that a company who is trying to sell something to you isn't putting things that would harm you but keep them up a profit out of their products or into their products is regulation. We are at a crucible of anti-intellectualism in this country. For too long now, we've been allowing individuals to use the excuse of not having a certain amount of education or their 30 minutes of Google research to equate to multiple hours of a dissertation defended by a panel of their peers, expert on a situation. And again, I'm not here to have that Joe Rogan discussion between expert opinion and non-expert opinion. I'm not saying that somebody who's a non-expert isn't allowed to have an opinion, but what I am saying is there is a weight of difference on an expert opinion and a non-expert opinion, especially if you cannot give a credible reason to why the expert opinion would be biased to a crazy extent that a non-expert opinion would be, because that does happen. The conversation that we're having on Joe Rogan was about a reporter who, for monetary reasons or ideological reasons, might not report on what's going on in Israel or between Israel and Palestine more so than I think it was not Dave Rubin. That was the name of the gay news dude I was thinking of earlier. But he's a comedian, but also a podcaster. His first name is Dave. I'm not sure. Who has meticulously researched the genocide going on in Palestine and has no reason to lie about it. There's difference on that versus you're listening to over 97% of world-renowned doctors, physicians, epidemiologists when it comes to health policy, and a man who at this point has been told by many of his classmates to have been on heroin throughout the majority of his college education, as little as it was. It's insanity, bro. And while I'm okay with you living an insane life, if you don't damage anybody else's ability to live a sane life, but we have now reached the point of anti-intellectualism where you have parents whose children are dying from preventable diseases like measles, who are with a straight face telling a reporter, yeah, I know my child just died from measles, but if I got the opportunity to do it again, I still wouldn't vaccinate her. What the fuck are we supposed to do with that? Because now you're not just endangering your own life, but you're endangering a child's life. You're endangering the health and livelihoods of millions of Americans.
But some people don't see it like that. They just see it as...
I understand some people don't see it like that, but at this point, we have to continue to have conversations. So now more than enough people agree with us and we can prevent these people from holding positions of power is what I'm saying.
True.
I'm saying that this type of thinking is insane, not to absolve responsibility from that person, but to give a level of urgency to all of us who consider ourselves to be sane and how much we need to be paying attention and how much we need to be speaking so that that person who lives in that insanity is not creating health policy for millions of Americans, right?
But what happens with, like, because I mean, I feel like we are having like conversations, like, because I've seen like maybe just this one instance where I just saw a thing with Dr. Mike, and he was going through a interview with a whole bunch of anti-vaxxers, and
yeah, I saw that the 20 versus 1.
Yeah, did you see that one lady that I don't want to like trash on the lady, but did you see that one lady with the amber hair or the orange hair? and she was like Dr. Mike was
I didn't
trying.
watch the whole thing, bro. I know what you're talking about. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's okay.
Well,
And shit on her. If she's anti-vax, shit on her. That's what I'm saying.
No, because I don't find it productive, because then it's not coming to a solution. Like, you need to learn, like, why do people behave the way that they do?
Listen. They behave the way that they do because they're insane, right? Whether that means they got the pause. Let me land first. They got the education and they refuse to believe it. I cannot argue. I cannot educate. You cannot work with a person who is delusional. That's a mental health issue.
I know, but this woman,
but what you can do is structure school policy and structure health policy so that it reflects the best evidence-based product or that we have at the time. Mm-hmm. The reason why so many parents are allowed to put their kids with vaccinated children is because across the nation, especially in Republican districts and Republican counties and Republican states, they have allowed an infarction on school and public school and religion to where many of the exceptions they now allow for public schooling for children, like against vaccines, because it used to be just health reasons, right?
Yeah.
Now it's, hey, my child, for religious reasons, cannot be vaccinated. That is a literal correlational and causational reason that they have researched and shown is causing an increased incidence in the measles. Before, you weren't allowed to do that because your religion should not impact health policy, because we don't not make health policy based off of religion, or we would still be using leeches and still be burning bitches at the fucking stake when a fucking a smallpox infection breaks out.
True.
And that's what I'm saying. Individually, how do we change the minds of somebody who is delusional and insane, doesn't believe science? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, I think the conversation isn't to be had there. That person's gone. You know what I'm saying? That person is going to do the same thing as the aforementioned story, which is not vaccinate their child, that child die, and then them still say, I still wanted to vaccinate it.
So then what is the point then? Because if you're going to have people do that,
the point is so that everybody who is not insane, because everybody, again, who has allowed this to happen isn't insane. They're just apathetic to their government. Mm-hmm. So they didn't vote. Or they didn't vote with the seriousness that voting entails. You get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying, but there's so many, she's not the only instance like out there to have that think or that knowledge. Like there's a vast amount of people.
But what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is she's not the only person. But basically what I'm saying is, right now, that is not where the focus should be laid. The focus should be laid on how many people who do understand the importance of vaccine science that have removed themselves from political participation for a variety of other reasons. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Like, we can fix that issue where, because there's always going to, again, someone said this best, there's always going to be somebody who believes crazy shit. It used to be, though, that person would be on the subway or, you know, at their PTA meeting going crazy in the corner. Now those people are holding elected office, though. And that's the problem, in my opinion. The only way that you root that out of society, I think, for good, is an equal and equitable education for everybody. That means if you go to school in Roswell, New Mexico, or you go to school in King George, Virginia, you're getting the same level of science-based education as if you went to LA proper, or you went to Glendale, or you went to Baltimore, Maryland, or you went to Washington, D.C. Right now, what I'm telling you is that's not the case. Based off of where you go to school, whether it's a religious private school, an underfunded red state school, you're not getting the same level of education. So we're not building the same building blocks at the same level, at the same rate as everybody else. So certain topics of discussion, especially science, people don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like I remember growing up in school that once I got to the fucking, I think it was the 7th grade, they started floating around like, okay, we're gonna give both evolution and the other non-scientific idea of how things went with the universe. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, the way that you root out madness, in my opinion, is through education, right? It's the only way, but it has to come from an equal and equitable education. So what that means is kids are not getting a dogma propaganda based education where they only learn the good things that their country has contributed to the world, but they learn the bad, the ugly, how we participated in imperialism, how we fucking created the only example of chattel slavery in the world, how many of the different things that were created for the good of society was not created through private industry, but it was created through the government, and then it was monopolized by private industry. And then on top of that, you understand that maybe the cure for cancer isn't in the brain of a well-funded student already. Maybe it's in the brain of a child who thinks differently because they grew up differently. So it's in a child in the favelas in Brazil, or in the poverty of West Baltimore, or in the poverty of Long Beach, California. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is how you tackle, or how we're going to tackle, the complex issues of the future. It's not, a billionaire who is so dysfunctional in society that he sees America or the most developed countries seeing their birth rates decline and goes, I need to impregnate every fucking woman in the world to save birth rates, and then we're gonna fucking build a ship to Mars. No, how about, okay, let's understand why birth rates are declining in the most developed countries versus the countries that we have participated in their underdevelopment in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then how that effectively could also help us save the fucking planet that we're on. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I don't think we should waste our time on individuals outside of our immediate community circles and try to bring them back from the brink of delusion when there are still people in our immediate circles that, especially as progressives, Democrats, liberals, who are genuinely wanting to see a better American life for everybody, a better human life for everybody in the world, to coalesce, get our message straight, and bring those people in our communities who are still on the outskirts for no reason other than apathy towards a system that has never fought for them. I get that. Towards a disillusionment with a system that maybe they got invested during the Obama years, and then now they realize that that was just a stop on the road to progress. It wasn't the final destination. And so now they're disillusioned with the entire government as a whole again, and say, bro, it can be better. I want it to be better. This is how I believe it gets better. This is why the people for so long who said that they also believe that didn't really mean it, because they didn't fucking live it. They were also taking big donor, big corporate money. And this is how we're going to push forward. Because if we don't do anything, if we allow them to roll over us, what we're seeing right now in this authoritarian regime is not only going to be their reality, it's going to get worse. And when you finally have had enough, when you're living in a favela, working multiple hours or 60, 80 hours a week to try and get a few scraps of bread for your family, you'll look to your left and right and nobody will be there to help you. And again, before we get into our content of the week, because I know this episode was a little bit all over the place, I'm hoping you guys enjoyed it. I'm hoping that health topic, which again is a war, we need to wage a war against anti-intellectualism. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. needs to be removed from office yesterday.
ASAP.
Because he's going to kill millions of people. But I want to leave us with a poem by Pastor Martin Neilmore, and it's First They Came. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Crazy. Crazy how history repeats itself.
Over and over and over again.
If nobody learns from history. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say, na 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 boo boo, I'm smarter than you. No, I have just done a lot of due diligence in an attempt to educate myself both experientially and through reading, to awaken myself, to make myself woke to the way that this world has been destroyed by unregulated capitalism and racism. And I hope that you listen to this podcast. If you do listen to this podcast, if you've listened to this podcast all the way through today, that maybe we've sparked something in you to start your own research. Maybe if you're a person who sparked my journey, maybe you're proud of me for getting to this point. Just as I will be proud of each and every one of you who listens to this and starts your own journey, starts putting theory into practice. I'm talking, you start unionizing at your job, start asking, wait, how much do you make? And you're not looking to make sure that there's enough on your plate, but you're looking and asking to make sure there's enough on their plate. Shit, like I said, I'm fucking stoking the fires of revolution every ER I go to, breaking down normalcies of capitalistic culture that may have no business being in healthcare.
Facts. I'm starting to do that in my job.
Shit. But okay, we're gonna get into our content of the week. And for me, guys, today my content is based around a lot of different things that I've been watching that are informative but also engaging. First and foremost, we didn't speak on it, but I'll speak on it real quick here while I say this content of the week. But there was a Palestinian filmmaker who was beaten and assaulted, Hamdan Bilal. There was some anxieties that were raised around the world before this man was released. We thought he might have been disappeared and killed, but I speak of him as being noteworthy because he is the co-director of No Other Land, a Palestinian documentary that has chronicled the decades-long battle against genocide the Palestinian people have been enduring against the Israeli authoritarian government. The second piece of media that I think would be super dope for everybody to watch, and I sent this to you too, Isaiah, is The Settlers. It's a BBC documentary by Louis Theroux. He was a documentarian who 10 years ago went into Gaza and was documenting the craziness of the Israeli Zionist nationalist movement going on there. He hasn't been back to the area in 10 years, and he went to the West Bank and documented the plight of the Palestinians living in the West Bank who are currently being terrorized by Israeli settlers who, again, you can just imagine the type of person that off of the strength of their religion goes into a sovereign nation, sets up a tent with the idea to settle that area. Like literal Christopher Columbus against the Native American shit going on right there. And then lastly, my last piece of content is to go see Sinners. I wanted Donica before she left to give us a spoiler review or spoiler-free review of Sinners, but until then, we'll do a spoiler-heavy review next month. So go see Sinners if you haven't seen it. Support Ryan Coogler. Support what's his name?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
There you go.
And support Black art because this is another exceptional piece of media that is not just pacifying, but it's electrifying. And that's my content of the week. You got anything, bro?
I don't have anything this week personally, because I've been kind of all over the place this week.
Okay.
I will have something next time, y'all.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And that is our episode for this week. That is, or this month. Again, we're doing a monthly episode every month for this year, 2025, while I am still out here traveling before I get to New York. So again, if you like this, please like it, share it. You will get the full podcast in its entirety on SoundCloud. Sometimes they take down our episodes on Spotify, and I will have everything updated on the YouTube, but you won't get the music a lot of times. We still are working out the kinks with that, but I'm pretty sure Spotify took down our most recent episode on Spotify because it had the Playboi Carti song in it. So if you want to hear that in its full entirety, please listen to it on SoundCloud. It was a great episode, including the music. We gave you a great music break, so we'll probably abstain from the music breaks here for a while. But again, we're bullshit for your health. Love, peace, and down with authoritarianism, fascism, and colonialism in all its forms around the world, man. No more privatizing the gains and socializing the losses. One world, one people. Free all my black people around the world. Peace.